already hear us, Jay.
They can hear us.
Did you go in there and go live? Straight away? You liked it already?
Yeah.
You like the stream?
Well, because I got a notification. So the notifications do. It's weird. Sometimes I get a notification, and sometimes I won't get a notification until you've been live for an hour. Stick Monkey could do one.
You've liked it already? Good on Jay. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to the channel, and welcome back to the Liam and Joe show. Much fun. Big wow will be had this day. Thank you so much for joining us on this fine Thursday lunchtime as we are closing in. It's nearly the end of April, March, Joe.
If it was the end of April, that'd be scary.
It's nearly the end of March. We're nearly in April.
I've got a whole army to do, but we're
nearly in April already.
Yeah.
How mad's that? 3 months in of the new year.
Cray-cray, isn't it?
Cray-cray. Which also means we've now, by the way...
You got sticky fingers?
Your microphone, have you smelt it? It smells
like Josh.
Smells of Josh's vape.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like a secret vapor.
Which secretly I call them gape, because I imagine that's what every single person that uses one does. It stinks. It's all over my fingers now as well. It's horrible.
You put your fingers in his mouth?
Because I had to put the batteries in your microphone.
I thought he was just like fingering his mouth while he was asleep.
Right. Yeah, he doesn't know that yet. Yeah. He does now. Thank you so much for joining us on this fine Thursday lunchtime. You wonderful people. If you haven't already, do what Joe did. Hit all the magical YouTube buttons. Hit that like button if you haven't already, but you enjoy the content. Smash subscribe if you're not yet a subscriber, and hit that bell notification icon if you want to be notified every single time we go live or drop a new video. Alternatively, you can become a member of the Great Hall. And Discord definitely tells you every single time we go live. It's not like the sometimes an hour later. Discord's always within like 5 minutes. It's very good. Very, very good. And you just have to be a member of the Great Hall, get yourself in Discord, click the right reaction roles, and it'll tell you every single time we go live, which is amazing. Or you can just click like yourself like Joe just did. Or if you don't want to become a member all by yourself, you can wait for some magical gifted memberships. And we've already had 5 of the finest from Mr. The Brandon already. What a legend. Thank you so much for 5 gifted memberships right off the bat. We are on the second to last day of streaming in March. We've got the Liam and Joe show today at 7:30 this evening. The Leagues of Jotan are back against Brom's Orcs. Secret chat. Brom's bought a load of vehicles.
I don't think he's read into the situation.
No, I don't think he knows what your army can do. No. So we'll have Leagues of Jotan versus Orcs tonight. It will be a fun one. And then tomorrow night at 8:30 p.m. at the new time, 8:30 p.m. we've got 40k After Dark, where we will be celebrating, get this, we are celebrating tomorrow night the channel's birthday.
Really?
Because on the 25th, which was Monday, YouTube informed me the channel was 7 years old.
That's mad, isn't it?
It's mad considering we've got like 3 subscribers. 7 years old is a mad one.
2 years ago today, I handed in my notice for my old job to come here.
Yeah.
So
you've been here for 2 years. We've only really been picking up for the last 2 years. Yeah. So clearly, it's Joe.
Channels get better when I arrive. They get considerably worse when I leave.
Considerably worse. Anyway, today's topic of conversation is a Joe idea.
Rare.
Yeah, but I liked it, so we used it.
Yeah. But before we talk about that, thank you, Stick Monkey, for 5 gifted memberships. Thank you, Dave B, for 1 gifted membership. Thank you, Dang Skippy, for 5 gifted memberships.
Amazing.
And thank you, Dave B. Dragons! Leave Dragon alone. Liam?
No.
What have you been doing to dragons?
Building them and basing them.
Putting your fingers in their mouths.
Yes. Yeah. He's Mr. Hips is in chat. I think he knows.
Thank you, Plummy Plum, for 5 gifted memberships.
You amazing people. That puts us on 21 gifted memberships already. Amazing. You're incredible. Just so you're aware, right? I talk about this every now and again anyway. I'm going to bring it up right now. 86% of the channel revenue is memberships. We rely so little on super chats and advertising revenue. I personally am an individual who, when I'm consuming content, despise adverts. So I put minimal adverts on my YouTube videos.
Just 2 at the start of every stream.
After it's gone live.
Yeah.
Yeah, so when it goes live, we don't put adverts on. I don't want to be a person who's doing the 10-second countdown when we go live, and someone clicks on the stream and goes, great, I've got a 30-second advert.
I feel like we should make our own adverts for people.
Well, yeah, we can do that, Joe, but they have to be prepared to pay us.
I could dress up as a grandma to walk into Element Games to like buy something, and then you could be there.
But if we're actually creating adverts, they need to pay us an ad spend fee.
Oh.
You don't just do it for free for a laugh.
We do the first one for free for the portfolio.
But I don't like adverts myself, so we pretty much rely on memberships. Like I said, 86% of our revenue is memberships. Of that 86%, around 70-75% of that 86% is in fact gifted memberships. So gifted memberships are incredible. It's generous. It financially supports the channel. It gives someone else an opportunity to be a member of the Great Hall. If you've got nothing to say and you don't want to stick on a super chat, it's an amazing way of supporting us. Of course, once we go through today, you can also stick them on big, colourful postcards and super chat if you want to as well. You people have been absolutely incredible. Thank you so much. You're amazing. March has been slightly better than January and February. So hopefully we're back on that growth track. That's what we want.
Yeah.
Right? Anyway, today's topic of conversation, like I said, was in fact a Joe idea. Part of this has come out from some of the recent articles has been shared on Warhammer community around new Age of Sigmar 4, including the launch announcement. I will call it announcement at Adepticon last week, and they spoke about a new way of playing Age of Sigmar called Spearhead. We don't have a lot of details. We have very limited to no details. So Joe and I have made an assumption that Spearhead is probably going to be Age of Sigmar's equivalent of Combat Patrol.
Yeah.
It kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
And the new boxes are called Spearhead boxes.
Yeah.
Because they've told us that in a Warhammer community article before as well.
Yeah.
So if the new launch boxes, which are currently called Vanguard, are soon to be called Spearhead, and in 40k the old Start Collecting got called Combat Patrol, it would make sense that Spearhead would be the new Combat Patrol.
And if I was a gambling man, the current Vanguard boxes will get upgraded to new Spearhead boxes when they get a new battle tome in a new edition. That makes sense, doesn't it?
It makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I reckon Spearhead will be new Combat Patrol. Now, the title that we picked, you used a different title. I went for something slightly more clickbaity, to be honest with you. I went for more of a YouTubey kind of title. But I think it's relevant, right? I called it Games Workshop's second chance at accessibility.
Yeah.
Because Combat Patrol was supposed to be Games Workshop's accessible way of playing Warhammer 40k and playing a smaller, stripped-down version of Warhammer 40k. And I personally am not entirely sure they did a fantastic job of it. Now, my main reason for thinking this, and this is one of the biggest points I want to talk about actually, is because I now have 2 data cards for every unit that's in a Combat Patrol box.
Yes.
So if I want to play Combat Patrol, I have to get the Combat Patrol data card, and if I want to play normal 40k, I want to get the normal 40k data card. So I was kind of like, actually, Combat Patrol could be a really cool, small-scale, consumable, pre-recorded video piece of content we could do for the channel that people could watch in the lunch break. But I actually don't want to start learning a different set of rules.
I find that the Combat Patrol rules, because their unit cards are different, it's almost like playing the game house ruled.
Yeah.
So you're not playing the game like how it's written. It would be better to take the Combat Patrol stuff, play normal 40k with it on a scaled down version.
Yeah.
Or just for like 40k in 40 minutes, so like the 500 points, as it were.
But I also think that Combat Patrol has an inherent issue where not all Combat Patrols are made equal.
No, like how do you balance the AdMech Combat Patrol with the Drakari one?
Well, you just can't.
Or the Guard one, but basically, how do you, like the Custodes one, for instance, is mental.
The Guard one's a great one. Take the Guard one versus the Custodes one. How do you balance that? Or does the Custodes just win every time in normal 40k?
In normal 40k, just wins every time.
Exactly.
So, but I think, like, the chance of, whereas if you look at the Spearhead / Vanguard boxes, I feel like, because I've sat and I've gone through them, because obviously we're super obsessed with it at the moment, and we're just looking at all the models all the time. I feel like those boxes are way more balanced.
For Spearhead?
For Spearhead, yeah.
I think, maybe I'm wrong here. If you take certain factions out of the running, Sons of Bahamut, for example, I think AOS is just kind of inherently more balanced anyway as a game, because there's, to some extent, every army kind of has a unit that does the same job. A rank and file infantry, a cavalry kind of unit, an elite-based infantry, a big hero or monster.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I just feel like in general, across all the ranges, they're a bit more kind of made equal.
And it tends to be, a combat unit is quite tough, but obviously it can only fight in combat. Ranged units have got good but not overpowering range, but they're just terrible in combat.
Yeah.
They just fall to pieces.
Yeah.
And it's much better to balance that. Like, if you've got a bow and arrow in AOS, you don't tend to have a sword. I know, I saw it.
You see what he did?
He just dropped a big 50.
He just poof, big dick out.
He just BAM!
Yeah.
Slid it along the counter, walked out the door.
He just slapped it on the table in front of us, not even said anything else. Big bad daddy. It's weird calling him that. Daddy John McArdle, thank you so much for 50 gifted memberships.
We love you.
That's incredible. You are a hero.
And at the other end of the spectrum, thank you, Pinch Daddy Dog, for 1 gifted membership.
Yeah.
We love equally. Evan Tominello, gifted 1. Plummy Plum, gifted 5.
That puts us on 73 already. Look at that.
Much like the people that hang around this building late at night, it's members everywhere.
Members everywhere. John, thank you so much for 50 gifted, man. That's incredibly generous, especially this late in the month as well. You are incredible. You're amazing. You're a hero.
Giving everyone a chance to embrace us.
But so I think that I want to try and get my head round the choices that are being made when they make combat patrol boxes.
Yeah.
Is it from a revenue finance perspective that they're putting specific use in the box? Is it because originally they were supposed to be start collecting, so it's a good starter set for that army? Because I feel like combat patrol as a game system is an afterthought.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
Because the stuff that's in the boxes have tended to be, but not all of them, have tended to be, what aren't we selling enough of? What have we got too much of? What do we want to sell more of? Kind of thing.
Maybe.
Like, it's weird. Like I don't like. Not much thought has gone into some of them, but also some like the Space Marine ones, for example. Right, if you buy all the Space Marine ones together, you've actually got quite a considerably large, varied Space Marine army.
Yeah.
With a lot of shoulder pads for different armies. So the problem is the combat patrols; those are kind of priced in, so you're kind of losing out. If you look at like the Dark Age one, which was like there was a time where Games Workshop put Redemptor Dreadnoughts in everything.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Every box set came with it's like, we've got enough Redemptor Dreadnoughts. We don't need any more.
Yeah.
Stop it.
Yeah. Everyone's got 8.
Yeah. It's like
just more than anyone needs.
Yeah. But then they've started to go through this trend of new army gets released or new codex gets released with new models. Those new models come in a special box set. That special box set then becomes the combat patrol. I
don't know. I even feel like combat patrol as a concept, right? As a raw concept, I think is a fantastic idea, and I'm all for it. A stepping stone into Big Boy 40k, or Big Boy game in general, I think is a fantastic idea. Go on.
Do you know which one did it perfect?
Go on.
The perfectly designed combat patrol
World Eaters
box set. No.
Oh.
The Sisters of Battle one.
What's in that one?
I don't know if they've changed it, but it used to be. You know when Plastic Sisters first got released?
Yeah.
The special box set, which came with the one Penitent Engine.
Yeah.
Came with 10 Sisters.
Yeah.
Came with 3...
Paragon Warsuits.
No. 3 of the Whippy Arm people. Arco Flagellants with a Whippy Lady. 4 Repentia with a Leader Whippy Lady. And like a Canoness.
Yeah.
Right? And then they just went, that's a combat patrol now. That's kind of perfect, right? It's all push fit. So you snip it off, push it together, right? So if you're accessing a game for the first time, right, and these boxes are designed for you to access that army for the first time, giving someone a box of part units that push together so you can learn the basics of your army makes more sense.
So do you think then that all combat patrols should be push fit?
Yes.
Okay, that's a whole other thing, but I'm inclined to agree. There's another part of it. I'm actually going to come straight in because it's relevant right now. Stick Monkey, thanks for the 2, says I still hate named characters in combat patrols. So do I. So this is where I'm going with it, right? I think as a concept, combat patrol is a fantastic idea, and the way it was sort of sold to us, I was like, this is a good idea. I think in terms of execution, combat patrol has been a bit shit. And there's a number of reasons.
Yeah.
So first of all, I feel like they made rules to fit boxes rather than boxes to fit rules, which I think they probably had to do. I genuinely think they probably didn't really have much of a choice.
Yeah.
because it would probably been too hard to wipe off all of the old start collectings and bring out all brand new combat patrols, reboxed, all that kind of stuff. And I think I agree. I'm inclined to say they should have no name characters and all push fit. Makes it super accessible, right? Genuinely super accessible. So I think that's also a fantastic idea. But I think that the boxes that we had access to that used to be kind of start collectings or whatever they were called previously, I feel like they're just not very balanced.
No.
And so you have to then either really skew the rules to try and balance them off, or just accept the fact that there's natural inherent imbalance. The problem you have is, as a starter or an intro into a gaming system, let's say you're the person who picks up the AdMech box set, right? Because you decide that you really like the idea of AdMech in the 41st millennium. Let's face it, as a faction, narratively as a faction, AdMech, cool as shit, right? You buy that box set, you stick it on the table against the person who's bought the World Eaters box set or the Custodians box set, right? You're gonna lose. You're just gonna lose. And I think even with the Combat Patrol rules in place, you're gonna lose. At that point, accessibility, well, maybe the rules are quite easy, maybe the models are quite nice. But if you're losing every game you're playing, that kind of makes it a bit of a feels bad.
Yeah.
You want to, when you bring a new player into a game, into a gaming system in general, they need to have equal chance of winning the game.
Yeah.
They need they need to be in that Goldilocks zone, essentially. All combat patrol boxes should be measured against each other, the same as when they bring out Spearhead. So I think combat patrol, as a concept, fantastic.
Yeah.
As an execution, honestly, not great. I've avoided making any content around it because I don't want to have to learn a second set of data cards.
Yeah.
And I don't think it actually is all that balanced, so I don't like the idea. But we're a year on from the release of 10th edition 40k.
Yeah.
I've spoke to GW about new AOS, and there's a lot of stuff I can't say, obviously. But I'm hoping with Spearhead and how long I'm hoping it's been in development for, it's because they've started releasing new Spearhead boxes, haven't they?
Yeah. You've got the Flesh Eater Courts and the Cities of Sigmar.
Which are called Spearheads.
Yeah.
They look quite balanced.
They look quite balanced, and they seem to be... Yeah, they are quite balanced. So you've got a hero model, a core infantry type of unit, cavalry unit, and then something else.
So in what? So in the cities, there's
in
a
the
cannon.
cities one, you've got a cannon.
Yeah. I'm about to say the Flesh Eater Courts one's over there, Joe. I mean, you could just look on Google.
I'll go on Google.
Yeah.
So it's just too much hassle.
Well, I got a question for chat. What's he looking on Google? I've got a genuine question for chat, right? A legitimate question. So I would assume we've got 265 people watching right now. Only 107 likes. So first of all, smash that button for me. Right, I'm going to press it again. Ready? Boop. There we go. Press that button for me. Right, we've only got 107 likes. Anyway, 206 people watching. I've got a question for you, right? I'm going to assume that the majority of you are probably 40k people because we've forever been a 40k channel. Now, we are looking this year at expanding and covering 40k and at the least Age of Sigmar. We'd like to also get on the television for you at least some form of Old World, and I'd like to, and I don't know if we're going to be pushing our luck this year, I'd also like to do some form of Horus Heresy as well at some point. Because I actually kind of like the idea of Heresy. Heresy and Old World will be what I would like to consider fringe content. So every now and again, you might get a video about Heresy or Old World. What you're not going to get is weekly games and weekly streams. That's just not going to happen. I'd like Age of Sigmar to join our frequent output of content and for you to have an expectation that every whatever day, an AOS piece of content will come out, right? That's what I'd like to do. So there's a couple of reasons for this, right? I'm really enjoying 10th edition at the moment, having loads of fun, but it's not my favourite ever rule set, and I actually kind of really do like some of the concepts of the current rule set for Age of Sigmar. So hoping that they have taken the 3 editions, mashed it together and made a tidier version of 4th rather than a monumental change, I'm thinking it could be a good fun game to play. I also, as I've said a million times over the last 2 years, I've always been more of a high fantasy person than a sci-fi person, so the narrative sings to me, and the narrative for Age of Sigmar has got stronger. So we're going to hope to offer it on the channel in the future as regular content. But the question I have for you genuinely is, and it won't replace, I need to make this very, very clear, because someone's going to say it, because I've had it loads already, we're not replacing 40k with Age of Sigmar. All right? Unless, of course, we're getting 10,000 people watching Sigmar and 200 people watching 40k. Then we might consider the options based on what's best for the business. But currently, the intent is we will not replace 40k. How many of you 260 people watching have not played Age of Sigmar before? And if Spearhead is good, would consider picking up a Spearhead box and playing.
Yeah.
And giving it at least a go. One, if you think you'd give it a go in chat right now and buy a Spearhead box. Two, if there's no interest, I don't care, I'm not bothered about Age of Sigmar. Yeah. And if you've already playing Age of Sigmar, don't vote because you're already playing Age of Sigmar. But if you've not played it before, after what we've showcased Monday, showcased Tuesday, and with the announcement of Spearhead, what are you thinking? Yeah. Are you going to give it a go or not?
Yeah. A Vargolf Courtier.
Oh.
Big bat thing. Big vampire bat thing.
He's cool, isn't he?
So,
he's cool.
So I think, like, going forward, if they do release what I would love to see, right, is there's a lot of ones there.
There's a lot of ones there.
So if every box set came out with a character, an infantry unit, a cavalry unit, and a single model something else in it, that's what we call balance.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah.
Well, there's a balanced game set. Mm-hmm. It's great. It depends on the quality of said units in there.
But again, I think if you pull out Sons of Behemoth, on the whole, the range is because of what Age of Sigmar is in high fantasy. I think it is pretty balanced. It's interesting. There is a fair amount of twos, people that just flat aren't interested in Age of Sigmar. There's a lot more ones than I think I expected. A few people just said I haven't got enough room or I've got too many models to paint already, which is interesting. Because those people are the people that will definitely crumble and buy a box anyway.
Some people, thing is, a lot of people who I've spoken to that are kind of like they're on a bit of downer of just 40k, because kind of competitive 40k has kind of murdered it, or like because of the huge levels of imbalance within the game, they're like, I go to my mate's house, he just destroys me. My codex was broken 3 months ago, now it's terrible. It's like, I don't enjoy playing it. So I think a lot of people are kind of looking for something else, and because of the announcement of Spearhead, people are going like, I've always really liked these models, I've always wanted an excuse to paint insert army here, models from that box set. I could buy that box set, paint it, and when AOS comes out, I can play the game. There's a version of the game I can play. If I like it, I can just expand out.
Yeah. I think in both Spearhead and full-blown Age of Sigmar version 4, I think the biggest so I don't think the models are a restricting factor for Age of Sigmar in general. Okay. No. I think we've discussed this enough. I reckon, based on what you've just said, I reckon there's a number of people in there that aren't playing Age of Sigmar that have already had a look at a range or two.
There'll be Warhammer community article on a Sunday, because I know a lot of people's kind of Sunday evening routine is to go and check around 6 o'clock what's coming out.
But I guarantee for all the people that aren't playing Sigmar and have never played Sigmar, a significant proportion of them would have already looked and gone, oh yeah, I like this model range.
Oh, that's beautiful, or really nice. Right. Or they found an excuse to convert an Age of Sigmar model to 40k because they just really like that.
So I reckon there's already going to be a significant proportion of people that already have their eyes on a faction that they already think is pretty.
Yeah, because that...
Here I think my biggest challenge, I think, for Games Workshop are going to have in general for AOS 4, and this is something that I've been concerned about forever. So I've been you've seen our model stash behind the wall. Yeah. I've been interested in Sigmar for a long, long time because I'm more of a fantasy person. Yeah. The lore is now getting a lot deeper. So the lore early Sigmar wasn't good for me personally as a fantasy fan. It wasn't good. It was kind of a bit weak and a bit It wasn't the best. The lore has got stronger. It's got better, and in actually quite a lot of circumstances, the lore's got a lot grimmer and darker, which I also quite like. But here was my biggest concern forever with Sigmar in general, is I had it in my mind that it was turn 1 I move in the middle, turn 2 you move in the middle, turn 3, 4, 5 we fight. Yeah. Right? Or maybe even turn 1 we both move in the middle, turn 2, 3, 4, 5 we fight. And we just stand there rolling dice until one's got no models left. And that, for me, would get boring to both play and for the viewer to watch. Yeah. So I think one of Games Workshop's biggest challenge around AOS 4 and Spearhead will be making a game that is multifaceted across 5 battle rounds. So if it's not just we both push models in the middle, we both roll dice to see who wins in melee, and they go, well, actually, there's more things to do here. If they can achieve that, and I think it's possible in fantasy game to achieve that. If they can achieve that, I genuinely am thinking this game could be huge.
Yeah, because obviously we played it on Tuesday, and I've spoken to a few people since Tuesday, and I've gone like, and they've gone like, what would you like to see in the new version and that you've learned that you've played? And I was like, well, the command phase really needs a tidy up, and they've always gone, yeah, it does. Yeah, because there's no It's obviously people that play it all the time will know, but as a new player, the distinction between a heroic action and a hero and a command.
Yeah.
One uses C command points, one doesn't.
Yeah.
And then obviously you pick your battle tactic. Obviously you do your psychic ability, your magic, right?
Yeah.
I would like to see more of a kind of distinctive split in terms of order.
Yeah, no,
because some people do command stuff and then wizards, and some people do the magic and then the command stuff. They kind of flip backwards and forwards. Whereas I'd like to go the structure of 40k, command phase, gain a CP, or get a command point, battle tactic, heroic action, or which is free, CP spending.
Yeah.
Magic phase.
Well, a lot of what they've talked, a lot of the design language that they've spoke about with AOS 4 is about neating it up, which I'm hoping doesn't mean monumental change. It means tidying it up. Daryl says, does this mean I'm going to have to start designing fantasy kits? Yes. You should have already started.
Yeah, where's my fountain?
One thing I can say, so like I said, I think in AOS 4, I think that's one of their biggest challenges is to make it less of a push in middle and fight game. But Sean says something which I actually am inclined to agree with on the whole. I would prefer move in the middle and fight to stand behind L-shaped terrain and die.
Well,
I do agree with that 100%.
So I don't think that's going to happen, right? Because, as you would have seen on Tuesday when I played Josh, he had 3 shooting units, right, on the table of bowmen and a shooting character, right?
Right.
At no point did I feel like I needed to hide from them.
He's comparing AOS for 40k.
Yeah.
He's saying he'd prefer push in the middle and fight in AOS than stand behind L-shaped ruin and just die in 40k.
Yeah.
And I'm inclined to agree. I was already impressed with the whole setting up the mission. 8 pieces of terrain. Doesn't matter where you lay them out.
Yeah.
Doesn't make a massive difference. It doesn't have to be a perfectly symmetrical giant L-shaped 3-story building so you can get plunging fire. You don't need that.
Yeah.
I already preferred that immediately. There's a couple of other nuances in AOS that I really liked. I cannot tell you how happy I was. And I didn't know until I read a comment. I read a comment yesterday. I didn't know until I read that comment that this was a thing that actually I was genuinely really happy about over the course of the 2 days. Not a single command point. There's a reroll charge available, but that's available to everybody. Yeah. No CP reroll.
Yeah.
That change makes such a huge difference to the fact that we're playing a dice game rather than playing I've mathed it out, I can't lose game.
Yeah.
Right? That's so important to me. But I do think that Age of Sigmar, from my perspective, I'm really positive about it. I'm really excited about it. One of the things that I think it misses, or could miss, is a little bit of additional kind of mission play. What I don't want to see introduced is things like actions. I've got no interest in man goes over here, stands in corner, says I'm doing action. I don't want that nonsense. But this is where, for me personally in 40k, the golden era of playing 40k in general was Maelstrom of War.
Yeah.
Because Maelstrom of War was so great, I think, at demonstrating the ups and downs, the swaying of battle. Like capture objective 3, kill a psyker, and then I don't know, do something else, whatever. Right? And you go, cool. Move all the way over to objective 3, which is on the far right side of the battlefield. Objective 2, because it's randomised all over the place, is on the far left side of the battlefield. Next draw cards, grab objective 2. Shit.
Yeah.
Like I loved that about it, rather than the predictability of stand on objective for 5 turns. And with 40, go in the corner and do an action. I've got no interest in that.
Well, I liked about the fact is that the mission that we played is hold 1 point for holding 1, and it's not like out of 100, which I find mental, by the way. The score for 40k is out of 100.
Yeah.
Right. Whereas Age of Sigmar, it's 1 point for holding 1 objective, 1 point for holding 2 objectives, and then you get 1 point if you hold more than your opponent.
Yeah.
And then you get 2 points for completing your battle tactic. And your battle tactic, you get to pick from a list that turn. So you pick the order that it gets done in. And they are kill ones as well. So you can still win a game by killing things and not holding objectives. Although no one told me the objectives are sticky in Age of Sigmar.
Well, they did now. They told you in the comment section.
They did.
Dan says, honestly, AOS is often not resolved by pushing into the middle and fighting. Can't say it doesn't happen sometimes, especially in the early games when you're learning. I mean, that's the thing though, Dan, right? That's mine and Jay's experience so far, because we're like, we just want to push shit in the middle and fight, because we haven't started to learn the tactical nuances of the game. But I do think that it has the potential to be a lot of fun in the current iteration.
Yeah.
So I saw something that Martin said earlier where he said, I'm having so much fun with AOS right now, I hope they don't tinker with it too much. I hope they don't. Like, again, the design language both has me worried and excited. It has me worried only because some of the design language is the exact same language they used around 10th edition 40k. But it also has me excited because if they do what they're saying they're going to do, and they're just going to tidy it up and neaten it up, and basically keep the core concepts the same, that I think is going to be a positive.
Yeah.
Because for me, coming into AOS for the very first time in version 3, it's a little bit bloated in places.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit messy. And some of for example, I'll give you an example, right? A war scroll for, what's her name? Areola. Alariel, that's it,
Alariel,
right? Her war scroll is a whole page of writing.
Yeah.
So, like, they said in the article yesterday that they're going to be introducing some universal special rules in Age of Sigmar.
That's good.
They said it in yesterday's article, right? And I know Josh originally said, when I was with him, I don't want universal special rules. I'm not interested in universal special rules. But depending on what it is, I feel like they could be a positive.
Well, like from reading the different book, like going through the different books, there's a lot of units that have the same rules, just named something different.
Yeah.
That's a universal special rule fix, essentially. What they need to do...
But they need to do USLs right, not like the Heresy books.
Well, yeah, and don't hide them in 4 different places in one book.
And then go, here's a weapon, it's really simple. By the way, here's 17 special rules.
In the old Warhammer Fantasy books and the old Warhammer 40k rule books, all universal special rules were at the back of the book. The back 2 pages were your cheat sheets or your reference sheets. All the pages before that were universal special rules in alphabetical order. Games Workshop doesn't do that so much nowadays, but I would like to see that.
I'd love to know, in chat, I'd love to know if you've been people that have actually played Combat Patrol at any time, and if you think it's a good system.
I had this conversation with Dan actually this morning. That's why I'm kind of on it. I actually think that Spearhead will be more popular than Combat Patrol because Age of Sigmar is smaller as a community. It's a smaller game. So 40k as a game has existed for 20 years. It's not the same version of the game as in additions, but orcs are still orcs, Space Marines are still Space Marines. The armies that you've collected over the last 10 years, although some units may have been legends out, is still the same. If you're a Space Marine player, you can still use Predators, you can still use Land Raiders, you can still use Assault Marines, you can still use Devastator squads, right? Orcs still have boys, trucks, bikes, right? And that's your army. So, start collecting boxes, or what they're called, or combat patrol boxes nowadays, is that because it's bigger and everyone's been doing it for 20 years, everyone kind of has the stuff in the boxes. Your only incentive to buy those boxes if you're starting a new army, or you just want or you want the new models that are in it, right? Whereas Age of Sigmar wasn't around 20 years ago. It was Warhammer Fantasy.
Yeah.
Right? So Age of Sigmar's only...
Well, not in 9 years, wasn't it?
Yeah. So, Age of Sigmar's only been around for 9 years-ish.
Yeah, well, 9, because it was 3 editions, 3 years an edition.
So 9 years, right? So people didn't have... they might have actually had ogres. That's a bad example. Cities of Sigmar. Deepkin. They wouldn't have had Lumineth.
Yeah.
Right. And because the game is smaller, because it's not been as popular, because it's only been around for 9 years, and since then we've had a pandemic and people are coming in or have left because they don't like rules, that because it's smaller, there is a larger population of people that would be interested in starting it.
So I'm inclined to agree. I think so I think off the back of that, a statement I think we can all probably agree on is that Spearhead is more important for Age of Sigmar version 4 than Combat Patrol was for 40k 10th edition.
Yeah.
I think Combat Patrol can be a mess and people don't really care. Having said that, a number of people in the chat have said, played Combat Patrol, quite enjoyed it, less overwhelming, good to get into. It's actually really positive to hear, genuinely really positive to hear. But I feel like Spearhead, as a type of game, or as a way to play, is more important and more vital to Sigmar version 4 because there used to be a meme in the old DZ Discord back when Kill Team was actually just a shrunken version of 40k before the nonsense that is current Kill Team. There's a meme that was in that Discord that was hashtag just a Kill Team. And what a lot of people would do is they go, I'm just going to buy a Kill Team of sisters, just a Kill Team, just a Kill Team. But then what they were doing is they were going, I really want some sisters models. I really want some sisters models, but I don't want to buy a whole army because much like people did earlier when we did the 1s and 2s, I've got too many models. I've got too much pile of shame. I don't want any more models. I'll do just a kill team.
Yeah.
And they'll buy that kill team and they'll paint the kill team and they'll enjoy it because they like the models a lot.
Yeah.
They'll go, well, I want to buy a couple more models for my kill team. And eventually you'll go, I'm almost at 500 points.
Yeah.
I might as well just pay to 500-point army. And before you know it, people were posting pictures of 2,000-point armies with the hashtag just a kill team. Because it was the gateway drug, right?
Yeah.
It was that little bit of crack that got you hooked.
Yeah.
Okay? I feel like with Age of Sigmar, in terms of the model range, that crack exists and it's strong, right? It's Moorish. But they need to get people to buy the first set of models.
Yeah.
And I think that they've kind of... There's a little bit of it there with Warcry and the other system, which escapes me at the moment. Thank you, Shakespeare. Underworlds, right? It's kind of there, but it's not like there's no real kill team version of Age of Sigmar. No. So I feel like if they get Spearhead really, really, really right, and it becomes a very good way of playing the game, and they nail the accessibility for a Sigmar for the new version, some people will go, do you know what? I've actually really wanted some Idoneth Deepkin because I love the idea of men riding or elves riding electric eels. I'll just buy this. It's just a Spearhead box.
And
just a Spearhead box. If you buy it from Element, exclamation mark Element, if you buy it from Element, right, it's what, 80 quid? Something like that, right?
They're 85 quid from Games Workshop. So they're in the 70s.
Yeah. So if you buy a Spearhead, 70, don't get me wrong, Jack, I'm not stupid. I know 70 to 80 quid is still a relatively significant price point for a lot of people. And I know that if you're not in the UK and you are in somewhere like Oz or New Zealand, it's not 80 quid, it's about 800 because of the way that they charge you out there.
It's a remortgage on your house.
Because quite frankly, the pricing strategy of Games Workshop in places like Australia, New Zealand and Canada, they should be fucking embarrassed of themselves. Nonetheless, right, that's not what we're getting on out here. So I am aware that 80 quid is not, at Warcry, thank you, Jorfin, 80 quid is not a small amount of money. But in terms of just what you need to get into the game, it's considering a full 40k army, a full Age of Sigmar army, it's significantly more accessible at that price point than 500 quid for a whole army.
Oh, yeah, and what's great about what you get with the AOS box sets that you don't get with the 40k boxes anymore, right? Start collecting, as in when they were start collecting boxes, 4 or 5 years ago, right? Is when they started to disappear. Every time I wanted to start a new army, I go to Games Workshop's website, how many start collecting boxes do I need to start my army? Because the stuff in the box sets is stuff that you wanted and you needed. What?
Read the green one, Jay.
A Thane?
A Thane?
Oh.
He's in Thane.
In the membrane.
Zodiac, you're a legend. I'll just stop you just because someone's become an amazing Thane tier member. What a fucking legend. You're a hero. If you're in Discord, which I'm sure you are, there will be a new thread that you're going to see right now, which has a URL link inviting you to the WhatsApp group.
Yeah.
New Thane, incoming Thanes, get ready with the paddles.
Yeah.
Anyway, carry on. Yeah, so how many boxes can you buy?
So like you'd be like, okay, so I want to start Slanesh Demons. Well, in this box, I get a mask, a unit of demonettes, a couple of horses, and one of the old whippy lawnmower things. Right, 3 of those done, but then buy a character separately. 40k now, you can't really do that with the new combat patrols. You might buy 1, maybe 2, and then you kind of have to like really figure out what you do.
I think
obviously there are exceptions to that rule.
Yeah,
the Drakari one and the GC the Cult one, you just go 1, 2, 3, done.
There's a couple of them that are like that, like World Eaters, Astra Militarum.
Yeah.
You could do the same with those. 1, 2, 3, done.
But when you look at the AOS stuff, I always look at AOS stuff, right? And we got the Vanguard box for the what are they called? Flesh Eater Courts. And I was like, I get 3 more of those and the new juiced up Big Daddy guys, it's 2,000 points. Obviously, it's more expensive now because everything in life is much more expensive. But because how the AOS books are written and how many, the limited access to some armies have in terms of units, you can just go, okay, I'll get 2 of these boxes, I buy 1 more box and a centerpiece character, 2,000 points. I feel like the armies are much more accessible in Age of Sigmar because it's quite points heavy, isn't it? And the armies aren't like my army's quite large because I play undead.
I think some of it depends on the faction, but yes, I'm inclined to agree. Like if you look at the not cities, the Stormcast Eternal model range, for example, that's huge.
So Stormcast Eternals suffered from the Primaris Lieutenant situation, didn't they?
Yeah.
For a while, where Games Production was like, here's a new Celestin blah, and
there's a little part of me that thinks that they do need to do a little bit of a model of a thinning, thin the herd a little bit.
Or go like these 5 characters all have the same loadout, so they're just this version of a character.
But that aside, I think I'm inclined to agree with you that on the whole, in terms of building an army, I feel like AOS has done the accessibility part of that slightly better for a while than 40k. So if you can release Spearhead as a rule set that complements what you've just said in terms of the actual physical collecting, I think they are onto a golden recipe to pull more people into Age of Sigmar. Yeah. Now, do I think that AOS version 4 will get as big as or even close to 10th edition 40k? Honestly, chat, I would like it to be in similar scale and size, but I don't think it will be. I just don't think it will be.
I don't think it will be, but like any new edition of anything, you will see an increase. Because people are like, I've always been interested on this. This is a new rule set. I'll get it on the ground floor when everyone else is.
But I think that, so I don't disagree with you. I'm inclined to agree 100%. I think that, again, we're talking about Spearhead because I think for me personally, they got Combat Patrol so wrong. If they get Spearhead right, they'll take the natural increase. By getting Spearhead right, they increase even more, right?
Yeah.
That becomes a much bigger amount of, or a much larger amount of new people that are going to give it a go and try it out, right? And then, the biggest challenge after that is converting them from Spearhead to 2,000 points and keeping them playing the game. And there's 2 things. So Spearhead needs to be so compelling and so enjoyable. I've started recently building AOS models again. If it's in terms of model ranges and kits, I don't care who you are, you won't get bored of Age of Sigmar models. They're beautiful. They just are, right? So they've got that bit. That foundation is there already.
Age of Sigmar is small enough now that they can't afford to have a banned release. As weird as that sounds, they can't afford to release a bad model range or a bad model or a bad unit. So everything that comes out of Age of Sigmar is just stunning, which is obviously we get that in 40k. It's like they've just released this random unit of like the t-shirt launchers, right?
Oh no!
Exactly. Whereas if every AOS release, you're like, So someone worked overtime on this.
So Command Faces, the Model of the Year results show that AOS probably won't get close. His target should be top 3 easily. The thing is, though, right, those Models of the Year are based on people's votes, and the player base for 40k is just so much bigger.
Yeah.
The reason why the top models for Model of the Year are always 40k models is just because there's more players.
Yeah.
So this is where the new release, Command Phase, this is where the new release could help that. Now, do I think AOS will become as big as 40k? No, I don't. Could they double their player base? I think they could. That's reasonable. They could double their player base. Yeah. Absolutely, they could do that. Will it be as big as 40k if they double their player base? No, it still won't. No. I reckon there's probably 1 AOS player for every 4 to 5 40k players at best.
It's like, so I saw our Thanes were talking about, or I saw in the Discord, where it's like the Toy Story effect. Like, space will always be more entertaining than fantasy.
For most people, yes.
Yeah.
Not for me personally, but for most people, 100%.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I think I'm really positive. I think that actually, to echo what you've just said, I never really thought about this, but you're right. Age of Sigmar can't really afford bad releases compared to 40k.
No.
I think 40k has a little bit more wiggle room to fuck something up, right? Yeah. And they do it every now and again. And sometimes you look at what they've done and you've gone, why have you done that? Sometimes you go, okay, it's an error, right? It's fine, it happens.
Yeah.
But I think you're right. I think Age of Sigmar can't afford a fuck up, which does make me more positive for the new version. It does make me more positive that they'll get Spearhead right. And if they do both of those things, they can get more people playing Spearhead. They can then get more people converting to big boy Age of Sigmar.
Yeah.
Then the challenge is keeping them engaged. And that's, I know people that have joined a new edition of 40k, both in 8th edition and 9th edition and 10th edition, because I wasn't doing this when 7th edition launched, but I think I did some content during 7th edition. I wasn't like heavily involved in the 7th edition launch, but I know specifically for 8th, 9th, and 10th edition, on all 3 editions, I know people that have got excited, bought into the new edition, played it for a few months, and then gone, I'm a bit bored of it now.
Yeah.
There's a fair few people that have done that in 40k, so they need to make sure that that doesn't happen in AOS as well, which is going to be an interesting challenge.
What I would like to see, but we probably won't, like big events like LVO, the LGT, Beachhead, stuff like that, where you've got your 40k event, you've got your Age of Sigmar event, you've got Blood Bowl, Warcry, Bolt Action. Maybe these people should start saving a bit of space for a combat patrol event. I think a combat patrol event could be cool. Yeah, and
100%.
And what's good about that is that it's like 20 quid a ticket for 2 days, because let's be honest, the space that these people take up is minimal, right? And then your entry is like, you're like, oh, I've always wanted to play Ogres.
Yeah.
Just buy the box set, which is the same price as buying a ticket to a major event. Spend a small amount on a ticket, get it done in a month, and ready to go. And you just carry your tiny little box and off you. And what would be good about that, right, is that you'll probably find that the painting quality goes up as well.
Yeah.
For the event, because I do find that the painting quality for Age of Sigmar is mad. I walked around the Beachhead AOS section. I walked around that for a good couple of hours over the course of the 2 days, just looking at armies.
This is the other thing, right? Kai says, all I want is Skaven. I'll probably use the models to proxy into Old World. Here's the other way that they can make AOS for more of a success. And I don't know if this is where I get frustrated with GW in general, right? Old World, okay. I was so excited for Old World. I played so much old fantasy. There is genuinely a big part of me that secretly would be like, I wish we hadn't got rid of old fantasy and we didn't have Age of Sigmar at all. And all they did is put all this design time into replacing all the fantasy range. And instead of making Lumineth, they just made new High Elves. Instead of making Sylvaneth, they just made new Wood Elves. Instead of making Sigmar, the Cities of Sigmar, they just updated the Empire range. Genuinely, I would rather have that overall. I feel like in terms of bringing players in, potentially not the best solution, because AOS's kind of more skirmish approach is a lot more new player friendly than wheeling giant battalions of things around. That being said, this is where I get confused, because they've gone, Old World, Skaven, you've got some rules, but it's not a supported faction. Because narratively, they're all fighting each other underground, right? Cool, okay. And then AOS, we're going to bring out a brand new Skaven range. It's like, you literally could have sold double the models.
Yeah.
Because you just open it up to Old World as well.
This is the thing I find mental about Old World, and it blows my mind, like, to the sheer insanity of it, right?
That's strong.
Right, is that we're gonna release a range of supported rules, factions. We're gonna release rules for both supported factions and unsupported factions, right? And everyone's like, cool, but you can't use the unsupported factions at events. People were like, that's not great. But okay. But we are going to release the supported factions once every 3 months, right? But we're not going to tell you the order.
Yeah, I don't, Joe. Honestly.
And even though we've given you the rules, we're not going to give you all of the models.
My personal opinion is that on the whole, GW are doing a very good job of murdering their own new release.
And everyone's like, but they've not told people why they're keeping AOS and Old World separate, but then they go, here's a bunch of square bases, right?
Look,
we know why.
We're all clever people. We've got nearly 300 people watching. We're all clever people, most of us at least, right? We all know why they're keeping AOS and Old World separate. It's the exact same reason. They basically banned everything heresy from 40k.
Because they want to keep it separate. But then at the same time,
it's metrics.
It's like Warriors of Chaos is a supported faction. We're not going to release the models yet. But we redesigned that entire faction 4 years ago. But don't buy those models, because they're Age of Sigmar models. Buy the old chip ones when we released them. But what happened, I was sat there the other day, I was like, I might as well just use the current Warriors of Chaos. But
I genuinely honestly believe that this is a monumental. We're going to fuck our own release up in spite of ourselves, just because metrics and analytics. And how do we prove which game is doing well and which game isn't doing well? It must be based simply on sales and I think it's wrong. I don't think it's right. Sean says, I saw this. Honest Wargamer Rob, he said unsupported factions were originally intended to be fully supported, and they backtracked. Wouldn't bother. That wouldn't surprise me either. We've got to do everything. Oh, we've run out of time and money.
Well, the thing is though, one guy.
Hey, it's that one guy.
One guy did all of Old World.
Yeah, well.
He wrote the rule book and all the faction rules.
Yeah, it is that one guy.
That shows how much they care about it. But we've had super chats.
So we're nearly at 2:30, so we're nearly an hour in chat. You're amazing.
Yeah.
We've got some super chat questions, etc. Now is the time to get your question, comment, opinion on a big colourful postcard, because by the time Joe gets through the first few, yours will then be in the queue to be read out. We normally go to 3 o'clock. All right. Yeah. People are amazing. Thank you so much, by the way, for all the super chats, for all the likes. We're up to 190 likes out of 308 people watching, and thank you to all the new members as well.
The good news is the massive hype for AOS means that we'll have Old World armies eventually because we could just use the models.
Well, yeah.
I can use my vampires as vampire camps.
Yeah, but you have to fuck around with square bases.
Well, no, I just get
version trays.
Just get movement trays that have got circles in them. Done. Right. Taby, thank you for the super chat. What would be a good way to convert Angel Wing Lady in Stormcast to Lumineth? Also, you have now convinced me to play AOS. Super pumped-ed.
Super pumped-ed. Angel Wing Lady.
The one that Josh used.
Yeah.
Today, I'm guessing.
I don't know how the hell you'd convert her to Lumineth. Or why you would. I've got a better option.
Yeah.
Right, keep Angel Wing Lady, build a Stormcast army, and then buy Lumineth as well. There you go.
Yeah.
So
yeah, because the thing is that the thing about Lumineth, because I've been looking into it. They're all massive douchebags.
What, Lumineth?
Yeah.
Get out! I love Lumineth.
No, I love the range, but in the books that I've read is a wrong word. Someone's read to me on Audible. All the Lumineth, massive douchebags, real uppity, tight. Do
you think that's why I like them so much?
Yeah. Right.
I thought I'd get in there before you did, Joe.
No one really has wings apart from the big cat sphinx thing, right?
Teclis,
yeah. I upset him the other day.
Teclis is a beautiful model.
Teclis, right.
Teclis is bad, that's right.
Teclis is bad. His big sphinx that he comes with, beautiful, right? My theory, but the Teclis aggressively T-posing next to it. My theory is that someone designed it in CAD, and when he set it to print, basically Teclis kind of just auto-assert it back to his CAD T-pose. And they were like, oh, I can't fix this now, I'll just glue him on the side there. I think the whole Lumineth thing is all about the use of the wind and floating with magic. No one's really got wings, have they? Just take the wings off her.
You don't have.
But also, she's heavily armored, isn't she? She's got full plate armor, whereas Lumineth's all kind of like belly armor and then flares.
Zodiac, I didn't realise Discord's got a sync issue. So if you've got a membership and you're in Discord, it looks terrible. It's because Discord hasn't synced since the 21st of the month, and it's currently not letting me manually force sync it, which means Zodiac, you'll also not be able to see your Thanes link. DM me on Discord, right? And I will personally send you an invite link to the Only Thanes WhatsApp chat. And I'm going to have to remind me later, Joe, I need to work on unsyncing and resyncing Discord's.
You might have to do it on the pooter.
I would, because I'm going to have to remove the integration. So basically, if you're in Discord, at some point, probably today, you're all going to lose access, and then it will all come back again, because I'm going to have to remove the integration and then reinstall the integration, okay? So just to let you guys know, Discord isn't terrible with no threads, it's not syncing.
Yeah, I don't know what you could do to convert her, honestly, because I think she looks too different.
I'd tell you, I'd love to give you a better answer. Genuinely would love to give you a better answer, but there's not a single model in the Lumineth range that I think would fit for her.
Yeah.
And Stormcast aesthetic, they're just bigger.
Yeah.
And, they're just bigger and they just look different. Because if you think about it, Lumineth are essentially elves. They're elves, sorry, AELVS, because we just add an A to it and it makes it different.
Copyright.
And whereas Stormcast are big, chunky fucking spirit daddies, right? So basically, just buy Stormcast and Lumineth, everyone happy.
Problem solved.
Apart from your bank manager, but that's not my problem.
Yeah. The Lumineth range is nice. I'm a big fan of the Kitsune kind of, the bit. So you got like the llama riders.
Love the llama riders.
And the big floating kitsune bowman.
Love
Spirit of the Wind, or whatever it's called.
I love those models.
Spirited Away, whatever it's called.
Yeah. I started creating the army spreadsheet earlier for our 40k and OS army, so we could assign armies to people.
Yeah.
I've already earmarked.
Basically, it's just me and you, no one else.
Yeah. Fuck everyone else.
Thank you, Demogorgon. Why can't Games Workshop just keep to the same terminology for both games? More accessible, just call it 40k Combat Patrol, AOS Combat Patrol, same as Rend and AP.
No, Kev, I love you. I think they should be different.
Yeah.
I think they should be different.
Spearhead. It's weird they've changed from Vanguard to Spearhead. I feel like, because when you are the Vanguard of something, you are leading the way.
But yeah.
So that they're like the force that goes forward and scouts.
But I also genuinely think that that potentially one of the reasons why they've made this change is because they potentially are releasing new boxes rather than renaming old boxes with the rule set in mind. If they are doing that, that's a real positive. Yeah. If, however, they do, and some of the current boxes they probably looked at them and gone, they're fine for Spearhead, we'll just rename them.
Yeah.
But on the whole, maybe it's because they're going to bring out new boxes that are Spearhead specific, and they wanted to differentiate between what was a Vanguard box, which you'll still be able to buy.
Yeah.
Because if let's say they take Nighthawk, right? Nighthawk have a Vanguard box that I've got around the corner somewhere, right?
Yeah.
Let's say they go, this Nighthawk Vanguard box isn't good enough for Spearhead. We're going to have to tweak it and change some of the units in it. And so in the future, they've released a Nighthawk Spearhead box, okay? I guess I don't want to be in a position where I'm looking at Element and going, there's 2 Vanguard boxes, which one do I need?
Yeah.
I've got one Vanguard box that Element have still got stock of, maybe, and I've got a Spearhead box. I know the Spearhead box is the one that I need for the new game system.
Yeah.
So I think that's why they've done it. But you are right, Vanguard, Spearhead, they are basically the same thing. Personally, Kev, I love you dearly. You know I love you dearly. I'm glad that Rend and AP is different. I'm glad that Spearhead and Combat Patrol is different. I want them to be different. They've even said, right, they've changed AOS, it's no longer wounds. It's health. Changed it to health in the new edition.
Because you're right, healthy. I've lost 4 health.
Yeah.
5 health, 3 health.
But that's a lot more fantasy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Then I've got 5 wounds remaining. It's a lot more fantasy to say you lose health.
Yeah.
Because when you play a game, like if you played, I don't know, Skyrim, right?
Diablo.
How much health have I got? That's what you're looking at.
There's a magic going to become mana.
So I
mana.
Personally, I think they should keep the language different. I think also for me personally, who's going to be playing both games, I actually think I would rather they kept the language different. I've got less chance of putting a rule in a game system that doesn't exist.
No.
Because the language is different. That's my own personal opinion though.
Yeah.
But thanks to Super Chat, man, you're a hero.
Thank you. Joe Cole's Only Feet for 5 gifted memberships. That's not me, by the way.
Yeah, we're on 81 members, Jay.
I know, it's mental, isn't it?
Mental.
Chicken Oriental. Right. Thank you, Stick Monkey, for I still hate name characters in Combat Patrols.
We've done that one.
Thank you, Tom Norrie, for a super chat, that his first ever one, which you must celebrate, but you've not said anything.
Oh.
He might, now, if you're still watching, Tom, ask us a question.
Yeah, please do. But thanks for the donate, man. You're an absolute hero. Maybe he just wanted to donate.
Yeah. Thank you, Doug Lyle, for the super chat. It says boarding actions should have been in place of combat patrol. Ooh. Boarding actions had the potential to be the new combat patrol, didn't it?
This is why I feel like 40k is kind of really fragmented, in my opinion, because you have boarding actions, which had a potential to be really good, but and they do this so often with so many things, right? Kill Team, I personally prefer the older version than the new version, where it was a lot more like 40k. It's kind of gone its own separate way, which means it's a little bit fragmented from main 40k, right? And then boarding actions had the potential to be great. Support was pretty poor. And they basically used it to sell books, and then it kind of died. And we were like, I don't know if you guys remember, but when it came out, we were super hype on it. We were so excited for boarding actions. Probably one of the only channels that built 3 sets of the fucking terrain so we could play lots of boarding actions, and it died for us pretty quickly because they just don't really support it properly. Yeah. And Combat Patrol's kind of been the same.
Well, we discovered very quickly. Like, the games actually, we played it a load, we really enjoyed it, like, it's one of our game systems. And then we played it, and then we're like, you haven't play tested this enough. because we've already found the biggest problem in it. The biggest flaw in that game is if you're a combat army and you go second, you win.
Yeah, all the time.
Every time. And because the points for boarding actions were based off of 40k points, combat units were pointed cheaper than shooting units, because in 40k, shooting units are more powerful and do better because obviously the table's bigger. But when you make the table smaller, right, combat units have got a massive advantage and shooting units are really weak.
But not only that, shooting units are then heavily restricted as to what can shoot and when can shoot.
Yeah.
Because they change. Boarding actions genuinely had the potential to be an incredible game system.
Yeah. And yes, they brought in faction-specific rules, but again, which faction-specific rules then gave every chapter, regiment its own warlord traits. It gave it all of its strats, but they stretched it out for too long.
Yeah.
Instead of going, here's the Imperium book, here's the Chaos book, here's the Xenos book, they went, here's a bit of something, here's a bit of something, here's a bit of something. And by the time your faction came around, you're like, I'm already bored now.
Boarding actions definitely felt like the release was pretty good, although we did find that flaw. And then it was like, oh no, actually, this is just a reason to sell books.
And then they were like, new edition's coming.
Sure, sell books.
It was essentially because how they changed stuff in boarding actions was 2 stratagems and enhancements. No warlord traits, you have enhancements instead. It was just a test bed for the new edition. It was like when they released Apocalypse.
See, Warhammer 1 bought the boarding actions terrain with buds, played 3 games, game over second round.
Yeah.
Far too expensive. The terrain was far too expensive as well.
Game edition always prices itself out of the market with terrain.
Yeah.
I don't know why. If they made it cheaper, so more people bought it, they would make more money.
Logically.
We're
not retail businessmen yet.
No, yeah, but it's like if they made because like if you look at the AOS terrain I've been building recently, that stuff is rock hard and it's solid. And
You can kill a man with it.
You can kill a man. We'll probably try.
Yeah. Problem tonight.
Yeah. It's nice, but and it's dense. It doesn't break. Unlike like wooden terrain, like you'll find that sometimes it bends, it breaks, it frays. You know, you don't get that. And some plastic terrain is way too bendy. This is rigid. It's rock hard.
But I don't understand, Joe. Right? This is where I kind of get a little bit lost. Games Workshop dominates the model market. It does dominate the paint market.
Yeah.
Right. It should dominate the terrain market.
Yeah.
And just kind of like, whatever.
Everyone else just seems to do a cheaper, more accessible version, which is kind of silly. What I don't understand, right, is why they don't use coloured plastic into... Because when they make the magazine versions of models, right, they always use coloured plastic.
It's always a slightly shitter material as well.
It's always a slightly shitter material, right? Why don't they do that with terrain?
Okay.
That you use darker greys, blacks.
I think my biggest frustration with terrain, for them specifically, is they've done so many beautiful sets of terrain that you just can't get hold of anymore that are still relevant.
Yeah, they're like, it's out now, it's gone.
Yeah.
It's on pre-order, goes on release, sells out, because normally it's very, very nice terrain. Everyone wants it. All new terrain, very exciting.
God, Joe, do you know what we can buy for Age of Sigmar? I've just thought
a steamboat.
What? No, Joe. We could buy something for Age of Sigmar. You've talked to me about it quite a lot, Joe.
A castle.
It makes me incredibly happy, this, because of my favourite things in the world. We could buy Osgiliath. For Sigmar!
Right, get on element. That element terrain makes me feel things. Oh my God, it's got towers, it's got a nice big mansion. I love the Osgiliath terrain.
We could buy Osgiliath, Joe, now, and it could be relevant.
Yeah.
It's fucking good.
Yeah.
I've finally got an excuse to perhaps buy it maybe one day if I can afford it.
Anyway, back on this. The boarding actions terrain is lovely. I love using it.
It's cool.
It's a cheaper equivalent of doing the Zone Mortalis terrain, right? And it packs down much smaller. It's lovely. But it was a game system for Games Workshop to practice the new edition without telling us it's the new edition.
I don't know if they're that far advanced.
But it's like, no, if you look at the rules for Apocalypse, that was a test bed for Epic.
Was it?
Yeah.
I don't know the Epic rule set because I have zero interest in Imperial. Like when they announced, what's it called? Not Imperial. Is it Imperialis or that? I was like, oh, this would be cool. Oh, it's a Heresy era. I was like, lost interest immediately.
Yeah.
I don't need a Heresy game. I have a Heresy game.
It makes
it's called
sense
Heresy.
on a stock situation because you don't have to sell multiple armies. You just sell the same boxes to everyone. They just paint it.
How do we make our edition better? We give you less options.
What they should have done is not done Legions Imperialis and just released more Heresy stuff.
Yeah.
Like, release stuff that people will actually want.
Andrew says, holy ball sacks, which, by the way, I love as an intro. Haven't been here in a hot second. Your new studio set looks nice. We've been here since November, Andrew. Where have you been?
Yeah.
Why is he grey, chat? Make him green.
Yeah.
Make him green again.
Yes. Thank you, Big Bad Peter Gaming, for 1 gift of membership. Thank you, Stick Monkey. Spearhead is their favourite way to play in the office, and they won't lie to us about that, would they? Not our friends in Nottingham.
No. And their office is, in
The
fact,
internet
Warhammer
does
World.
not lie.
Their office is Warhammer World, Stick Monkey. So they get to play games in the lunch break.
That statement, though, that they have said, I believe. That, not so much that it is their favourite game, but in the case that they have playtested, and they are, the great thing about the AOS team is they go to events.
See what this is here? That's my pinch of salt.
All right.
I'm aware that the Age of Sigmar and the 40k design studios are two different design studios. The rules writing teams are two different rules writing teams, right? I'm aware. However, WarCom article writers are WarCom article writers. And there's been frequent occurrences where what's been written in the article has been the polar opposite to what's actually happened. So, what is WarCom? It's Games Workshop's in-house marketing team.
Drug addicts.
It's their marketing team. Yeah. We all need to be cognizant of the fact that WarCom is their marketing team. It's one of their major marketing strategies. Games Workshop don't run ads. Yeah. They don't run ads. You don't see them doing Facebook ads. You don't see them doing Google ads. They don't run ads, right? So what do they have? They have WarCom. And what do we all go and look at? We all go and look at WarCom. So as much as I believe they've playtested Age of Sigmar, every time they put some cheesy, it's our favourite game to play in the office, I take it with a pinch of salt.
Darker said, it's our favourite game until it's our next favourite game.
Yeah, I take it with a pinch of salt simply because it is their marketing tool.
The things are, the AOS team does love AOS. Like every AOS event that Games Workshop runs or puts on, or major events that happen, a member of the AOS team is there playing it.
No, I get that, Joe, and I am more positive, and I'm less nervous with AOS than I was with 40k. Yeah. But I still have to. It's always in my mind when I read anything on WarCom. Some of it is so cheesy; it's very obvious it's just a marketing line. And often when I read them out on stream, I take the piss out of it because it's so cheesy. It's obviously a marketing ploy. Some of it seems genuine and positive, but it is still their marketing platform.
Less rerolls.
Don't. Bridges, don't do it to me.
What I like about AOS, it's more about pluses and minuses to hit or wound.
But the marketing team said less rerolls for 40k.
Yeah, there was more, vastly more.
Yeah,
because there's no characters now that hand out rerolls so much. It's just a case of every unit has a different version of rerolls, or it has rerolls but 2 types of reroll. Reroll 1s if it's on an objective. Reroll 1 if it's near an objective. Reroll 1s if your opponent's on the objective.
Oh, don't.
Reroll 1s if your nan is on holiday in Spain. You know? Just like...
All rerolls if she's dead.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
in Spain.
Thank you, Robert Pike, for becoming a Hesir.
Legend, love you.
Thank you, Chris Just Marguerite Dropolos. I love the Chaos line of AOS. Maggotkin, Slaves to Darkness, Head Knights, Disciples of Tzeentch are all amazing. I was already branching to AOS, and 4th gives me a chance to jump in.
Yeah, I mean, Head Knights is beautiful.
I was reading the Head Knights book before we came live, and I dug out all my Slaves to Darkness stuff. Which
someone in the chat earlier said that Maggotkin of Nurgle actually feel more like Nurgle than Nurgle Demons do in 40k.
The Maggotkin line is beautiful.
I personally, someone said on Tuesday stream, why doesn't Liam just do Blades of Khorne? They're like World Eaters. Well, first of all, I want to do something different to what I do in 40k. But secondly, I'm not a Blades of Khorne fan. Not saying the models aren't stunning, because they are. I'm just not really a Blaze of Corn fan overall. But Blaze of Corn are cool as shit.
Yeah.
Disciples of Tzeentch, I don't know a lot about that range,
I've never really got on with Tzeentch in general.
No.
Like, I just find it... Although, the Tzeentch cultists are hench. You might get a beak face, but you swole.
Because the dragon says, let's hope heroes leading units in Age of Sigmar remember their skills when everyone else in the unit dies. I'm hoping they don't lead units. I don't want characters in AOS now suddenly joining units. I don't want... I didn't... When they marketed it for 40k, I was like, this sounds great. In practice, I hate characters leading units. I hate them. Because they don't feel... Like, characters don't feel like heroes anymore in 40k on the whole. Characters now are expensive unit upgrades to make the unit effective.
Yeah.
Unless you've got the Lion who's like lone up or something like him.
They're an inexpensive unit upgrade to upgrade that unit, but before they were a badass, cool, epic hero, and now like a Space Marine captain can't punch his way out of a paper bag.
Yeah, so funny that Sader72 said exactly the same as I was saying that. I thought I'd love attaching characters to units, but it feels like characters are only really an upgrade for the unit. Sometimes they don't even keep their ability after the initial dies. Dumb. There you go. Exactly the same thing. See, exactly the same as what we just said. We're not the only ones that think it.
Yeah, it would be.
And I want AOS heroes to continue to be heroes.
40k characters joining units would be fine if once that unit dies, he can join another unit.
Yeah.
But obviously, I'm happy for them only to be able to join the unit that's on their list of units they can join. But once they're like stood on their Todd, he's like, oh, I might be the chapter master in charge of this entire chapter, but I was only friends with them.
There's a number of things I'd like to change in 40k. There's a number of things I'd like to change in 40k. I think that the characters joining units for 40k in 10th edition was a swing and a miss.
Do you know what I really miss? Heroic Intervention. When it made good combat characters terrifying. Right? When you could have like a Master of Executions or a, what's his name? Time Man. The one that makes you...
Judicar.
Yep. When you can have one of those lurking in your lines, like, come to me, I'm going to make you fight last and we're going to murder you. And your opponent really... You had to really think about model placement, and then your opponent had to really think about where they wanted to go and what they wanted to do and how they were going to fix how they're going to create a solution with dealing with a Judicar, stuff like that. All that kind of fancy stuff's gone.
What's very interesting is it just seems that on the whole, chat agrees with us as well, which is interesting.
Yeah.
Captains are just shit now. Heroes aren't heroes. And the other thing as well, captains... I was talking to Josh about this at length, Mr. The Warhips was here. Captains now are sergeants.
Yeah.
Like, that's what's happened. They've basically got rid of sergeants. You don't really have sergeants anymore. You have, like, some of them do, like if you're an exarch in an aspect warrior unit, you're kind of a sergeant.
Yeah.
Otherwise, sergeants have gone, and then characters are just replacing sergeants. So it got to a point where in like 8th and 9th edition, you could give a sergeant a piece of war gear that was specifically for sergeants, and your sergeant was still a beat stick, because guess what? He's your senior Space Marine in the squad. No, they don't do anything anymore. Now it's just a captain.
Darker says Heroic Adventure was the silliest example of gotcha hammer.
It was a little bit.
But it's a rule that everyone had.
Yeah.
Everyone's character could do it. But sometimes people forgot it could happen, and it's like, oh no.
40k character, for me, 40k characters that need to join units, they've straight ruined characters for me. One of the things I like the most about tabletop gaming, and I'm aware that this is a personal preference and perhaps not something that is thought of by the wider audience.
Yeah.
One of my favourite ways of playing gaming, tabletop gaming in general, is a form of hero hammer. Yeah. So in 40k, I've come to realise that I'm enjoying myself more when I'm playing with units like the Lion or Angron, because it's a single character who can go and fuck shit up, right?
Yeah.
Age of Sigmar currently, tons of heroes and characters that you can use that can operate on their own, and they can in fact operate on their own. Also, the fact that things like damage spills over means that a big hitting unit can wade into infantry and still do some significant damage. And even when I play games like Bolt Action, I have to put a tank in there. It's my kind of version of Hero Hammer in Bolt Action, because a tank is pretty terrifying, right? But in 40k now, with the way that characters have gone, you've got to join a unit.
And they're massively weaker.
Yeah. And it also,
much weaker.
interestingly, also causes problems for things like Combat Patrol. Because much like the box set that came out at the start of 10th edition, here's your box set. Cool. Who do I join my Apothecary Biologist to? You don't. We haven't put that unit in there.
What does he do? Well, he's got a bolt pistol.
Like, he's not got a unit that you can do anything with. He's not got a unit you can join. Like, it's absolutely pointless model to put in the box.
Yeah, and having currently, as one of the things I've been finding, is that when you put characters in units, is that they're really easy to, they're super easy to kill. So cool, I'm going to run in there. Cool, I'm going to precision him out the unit. Yeah. He's got no defense, but although he's tougher than his unit, I still roll against the unit.
Yeah, right.
He might be toughness 5, and your unit's toughness 4.
GW for 11th edition, for fuck's sake, please bring back Hero Hammer, because current Space Marine captains, it's a Space Marine captain. Current Space Marine captains are fucking toilet.
Yeah.
The only reason why you have them is 1 CP strat for free, which is also a dog shit rule as well.
Yeah. Also, make Abaddon tough again.
I knew that was going to come out your mouth at some point.
The fact that Chaos Space Marines have 0 access to Feel No Pain for a start is
amazing.
Bullshit. Right, the fact there's no Feel No Pains in Chaos Space Marine crips me a little bit. But the fact that Abaddon, who is supposed to be on par with the Lion and Gilliman, right, and Gazgol, he is their version of that character, right? The leader of all chaos, right, can't stand up to a 60-point character who goes and goes,
But Resident Rumdringer says, as a guard player, characters will only have unit upgrades. But that's fine for guard.
Yeah, because you're just humans.
Because it's relevant for guard.
Yeah, your training in the Imperial Guard is go over there and shout at them.
That's
I'll shout at you, you shout at them, go.
That's why guard have command squads rather than command characters. And a command squad is still cheaper than should still be cheaper than a Space Marine captain. And a Space Marine captain should still be able to walk up to a command squad and fucking flatten the lot. That's how it should be.
Yeah.
Because if a Space Marine captain walked up to 5 guardsmen, no matter who those 5 guardsmen are, guess what? If he wants to, he's pulling every single one of their heads clean off.
Yeah. In Guardians of the Throne, you know Jobby and Alea? Valerian and Alea? Valerian, 1 Custodes, takes out 30 Scions in combat without killing a single one.
But what gets me as well, Joe, in 9th edition, we swung towards this really interesting mechanic they were putting in place, which I quite liked, where it's like, if you're running Space Marines, you get a captain. If you upgrade one to a chapter master, you can have another captain. That's because one's a chapter master. Because in a 2,000-point strike force, you wouldn't have 5 fucking captains running around. You just wouldn't. If you take a demon prince, you can't take another demon prince because of the jealousy. Like, that's the way, narrative, that's the way it should be. If you're taking orcs, you get a war boss. 1 war boss.
If you're Tau, with your super elite, like really rare captain commanders in their suits, you can only have 1. Now it's like, you can have 9.
Oh, don't. It's really, like, I felt they were making a good move back then narratively to make narrative represented on the tabletop. And I think part of the reason why they did that was because they didn't want auras overlapping all over the place, which is also a way of tidying up that mechanic. And then they went, nah, don't like that. Take 10 captains, who cares?
Yeah.
No.
I feel like you should have 1 captain, but instead of affecting 1 unit, he affects everything on the table in a way. If you have a captain, your army gets this rule. If you have 1 or 2 lieutenants, your army gains.
I mean, it's arguably tidier, but it would be harder to balance.
But it's like, if you have a captain, right, your army gets Oath of Moment.
Yeah.
Because he goes, kill that. I'm in charge. I'm telling you to kill that unit. When he dies, you lose Oath of Moment. Or if you lose your captain and you've got a lieutenant, your lieutenant gives you Oath of Moment, but he's not as strong because they don't respect him.
I'm into it.
They laugh at
cool.
him.
We've got to keep going because we're going to run out of time. I know what we're like.
Yes. Thank you, Gareth Philpin, for becoming a Jarl.
What are y'all talking about? The current Jarl's Only giveaway is live in Discord. Not that you're going to see it right now, but I'll be resetting the integration after the stream. Once I've reset the integration, check out the Jarl's Only area. Make sure you enter the giveaway. It is drawn tomorrow evening.
Yeah, it's a pair of my dirty pants in a jar full of my bath water.
Yes. Yeah. It's worth being a Jarl.
And a human finger.
If you are a Jarl, basically what it means is you get access to a new area in Discord, and every single month we set up a free giveaway for Jarls to enter. Just by being a Jarl, you get a free entry. Click on it, you're in the draw. If you win, if you get drawn at random, you get a combat patrol box or Vanguard or Spearhead box of your choice.
USC dead man. What about 3 Archons?
Go away.
1 Archon leads an entire cabal.
I know.
Everyone underneath him is a Drakon.
I know.
Right.
Carl says it's clear they're aiming at the game. They're aiming the game at comp meta levels now. 100%. Yeah, they are absolutely, and it's losing all its flavour because of that.
Yeah. When you read the rules, look at the rules, what comes out from Games Workshop, it's very clear that the entire 40K's rules team is just competitive.
But I am positive. I am genuinely more on the positive side than the negative side about the whole. There's just a list of detachments and you pick the one that best fits your space. I am positive for that. I am genuinely positive for that. I do like the idea that I don't have to take a Simon detachment if my Eldar's painted red, despite the fact that I don't like the detachment at all.
Yeah.
That being said, there was something kind of nice about I'm picking to play Imperial Fist because I'm an Imperial Fist player, and so I have to. There's a sacrifice there.
Yeah, my army is based on the ethos of the overarching army that is.
Yeah.
Like if I'm Imperial Fists, we like bolt guns. Our bolt guns are better.
Yeah.
Like we're having more fun than we have for a long time playing 40K. We don't hate it. We're not down on it. It's just a case that the reason we're having fun is because we're implementing our own rules.
Restrictions, yeah.
We're not house ruling it. We're just saying we're choosing not to take and do specific things because that makes the game bad.
So in terms of what Carl said, what we've done is I've looked at the fact, I agree with you, Carl, by the way. I think they are heavily focusing this on tournament play and competitive play and meta chasing. I genuinely believe that's what they're doing. So we had a conversation last year as a team and we made the conscious decision that we wouldn't go down that same path and we wouldn't tread that path with them. And so what the guys are doing now is going, I like that, put it in the list. I like that, put it in the list. Is it the most optimized list? Couldn't give a fuck. It's full of cool shit that I like. Go play games. And that's why we're having more fun.
I think there will eventually be a version of the game for everyone that comes out, like because there's a demand for it. So like for instance, like Magic the Gathering, right? Up until there's a new Commander system. Before Commander, everyone was running a 60 card deck, which has 40 cards in it, 20 lands, and you could take 4 duplicates of the same card. And that was Magic the Gathering for ages, right? And what happened was meta chasing. What are the 10 best duplicates of 4 cards I can take? How can I construct my deck that I win in 2-3 turns? Because if I pull a combination of cards, I just win, right? And that's what happened. And it drove a second-hand market of cards. And everyone was like, I don't like playing this game anymore because my mate's got more money than I do, so he just bought all the best cards. When you go to a tournament, one deck just wins all the time. Top 20 players, all the same deck. So what came out of that eventually, which is now super popular, and the new fun way of playing the Magic Gathering, is Commander.
I love Commander.
It's a 100-card deck, right? So you've got 40 more cards, but you can't duplicate. And what happens then is you have people going, I really like elves. You don't have to buy 4 elf cards of the same. I could just buy one of every elf card I like.
You can duplicate only lands, though.
Yeah, you can duplicate lands, but you can't duplicate special lands.
Yeah.
Or people are like, I really like angel cards.
Do you know my favourite thing about Commander, though, as well, was you could literally just go and buy a Commander deck and just play out a packet.
Be like,
it's not the most optimal, but we played a bunch when I was over at Titans. We played a bunch of out packet Commander.
Yeah.
Like, I'm taking the one of the Lord of the Rings ones. You're taking the Mordor one, whatever. Or I'm taking the Tyranid one. Yeah. You take the Necron one. You take the Chaos one. Let's go.
But that's the great thing about Commanders. Like you go, if you run a shop, for instance, and you want an easy event to run, we're going to run a Commander event. Don't bring anything with you. We've got hundreds of Commander decks here from different ranges and different varieties. Just turn up and play. Grab a deck, go. Right?
Yeah.
And I think that's what's going to happen with 40K eventually. People will get sick of 40K comp, and they'll be like, I want a more fun way of doing this. So what happened in 8th edition, or late 7th into 8th edition? The ITC was created by Frontline Gaming. They were like, we want a version of this game that we want to play. And I think that's going to happen. What are you doing? You're scrolling.
Yeah, someone just said, check out the Age of Sigmar one that's just come out. But
it's not in the news.
I'm just trying to find it. Mr. Josh said the new modular form of articles.
All news, isn't it?
All news.
There's a new heresy. Go up, what are they?
No, not what about. So we've not got the new article yet, Mr. the Hipster. The new heresy is the new command squad. Stop fucking doing this, mouse. There we go. This is the new Legion command for heresy.
Oh, it's got a banner. It's got 2 banners in it. They're nice.
Are they though?
They're very nice.
Are they though?
Yes, Liam, they are. All right. All news. Click on all news.
I'm trying.
Stop trying. Can they see what you're doing? They can't see what you're doing.
They can't see what I'm doing, no. That's from yesterday.
The only one we can see, Mr. the Hipster, is...
no, that's not. That's from the 26th of March.
Yeah, all we can see is the Horus Heresy one.
It hasn't hit my computer screen
Horus
yet.
Heresy, tournament, and then something else. So yeah, I think a new version of the game will eventually arise of 40k because people will be like, I don't want to do this anymore. There's so many people on social media who are like, I don't enjoy this game anymore.
Because for 40k?
For 40k, yeah.
Well,
there's so many people making posts, making videos about like how we just don't like it.
Well, I mean,
it's not for us.
All joking aside, though, how many people do you know that have been 40k players for the longest time who have switched to a different game or stopped playing altogether?
So many. So there's so many people I know that be 40k diehards. They're like, I only do 40k. I only have 40k now because I'm so invested in my life, and they're just completely sidestepped into old world.
Yeah, I'll be straight up. I'll be genuine and straight up with you, chat. Honestly, if you're one of those people who is thinking about giving up 40k because you don't like it right now, or you want to get rid of it, or or it's not the game for you, honestly, before you do that, I get it. I get why people are a bit disenfranchised with it, or a little bit kind of upset with the way 40k is right now, and the fact that it perhaps doesn't include as much hero hammer as you'd like, and the rules are a bit messy. And who wants to pick up a rule book for however many pounds it is, and then have to read 25 pages of PDF on the website just to make sure you've got the right set of rules? No one wants to do that. Who wants to have to forcefully buy a £30 codex just so you can unlock the app and get the actual up-to-date rules because the codex is already wrong at the point you buy it? No one wants that, right? Genuinely, no one wants that. I get it. I get that. I get people's frustrations. I get your annoyance. I get why people don't like it. I get why people are going, I'm going to go and play Age of Sigmar instead. Or perhaps I'm not even going to go near Games Workshop anymore. But I would urge you, before you take drastic action and you sell all your stuff and you go and play a different gaming system, try and do what we're doing. It's harder for some people. But if you can find a group of like-minded people who think about the game and the hobby in a similar way or the same way that you do, right, genuinely, I think this game... I've said this categorically. If you take into consideration the channel, I started covering content in 7th edition. I'm now covering content in 10th edition. That's 4 editions of the game, right? Out of those 4 editions of the game, this is my least favourite one. By a country mile, this is my least favourite one. It's not even close. Genuinely not even close. However, that being said, I am now having the most fun I've ever had, and there's 2 main reasons. I've stopped trying to meta chase and tournament chase and do the best and be the most optimized because it's pressure and it's stress, and what it does is it just encourages you to have to keep buying things, which is kind of what they want you to do in realistic terms. They are a business that sells models at the end of the day. But the other thing I've done is I've found a group of people that want to play the same way that I want to play.
Yeah.
So I'm not worried about meta. I'm not worried about hyper-competitive. I don't go to a table. When I walk up to a table to play a game nowadays, whether I'm on stream or off stream, I'm not thinking to myself, I need to get 100 points. I don't care.
Yeah.
I haven't played fixed objectives the whole time I played New Edition of 40k, apart from a couple of streams over in times. Because I just want to have fun. I don't give a shit.
You need to think, right, as a community, right? When you started this hobby, what did you enjoy the most about it? When you started, no one got into this hobby, right, to be like, I want to be the best 40k player in the world. No one has ever said that when they started the hobby. So there might be some mentalists that do, but most people have gone, what is it like? Well, I really like Star Wars. I really like Saving Private Ryan. I really like Starship Troopers. I want to do the things I see in that film with my models.
I think one of the worst things they ever did was things like ITC rankings for factions and stuff like that. Like it's just toxic.
Yeah.
Like, look at me, I'm the best town player. No one fucking cares.
What you need to do is you go, Dave, I watched a film about a bunch of spacemen in space fighting some bugs, and they're like in this like outpost, or they're in this town, or in this village, or in these ruins, and they've got to live. It's got to live, right? Can we do that? And then Tarquin goes, yeah.
Tarquin goes, yeah.
Yeah. Tarquin's like, I'll bring my Tyranids.
I mean,
right?
honestly.
And Dave's like, I'll bring my spacemen.
Honestly,
Fight.
I think one of the best things you've ever said, is remember why you got into this hobby.
Yeah.
Because I think the majority of us, not everybody, some people will have got into the hobby because they want to play a competitive war game. That's fine, each their own. But remember why you got into the hobby. And remember the things you enjoy. And don't worry about meta chasing. And don't worry about ITC rankings.
Yeah.
And don't worry about getting 100 points. And don't necessarily worry about playing the best Leviathan mission game you can play. Remember why you got into the hobby. Cool tabletop war games, cool scenarios.
Yeah.
Make shit up, stick your stuff down, and play games with friends that have the same sort of attitude.
And we do it quite often, like with the model, your units, don't do what the best players do, what that unit would do.
Tell a story.
Yeah, like World Eaters won't spend 3 turns sat in the corner of table doing actions.
Yeah.
Because they just won't.
Yeah.
Like they'll go forward, chop, chop.
Michael says, I love 10th for the rules, just feels simpler and plays quicker. I stopped caring about meta in 9th and definitely started having more fun. I still appreciate people that play competitive. I've got no issue with people that play competitive at all, Michael. I have no issue with the competitive scene. I've got no issue with tournaments. I've got no issue with the people that do care about ICC rankings and trying to be number one. I don't have a problem with those people. Yeah. What I'm saying is the vast majority of us are probably not those people, but somehow, for some reason, probably because of things like MetaWatch, etc., we all seem to always have an eye on it. We've always got it in the back of our minds. And it doesn't matter if you lose every single game. People like War Master Will are some of the best people in the hobby. He turns up to a GT for 5 games and he doesn't give a shit if he wins. He's just there to meet people and have fun and roll dice.
Yeah.
That's the best.
I went to Beachhead with an army that just goes forward. And I lost my games to people that were there playing competitively.
Yep.
But I had some of the best games I've ever played because I just did not care what happened. They were like, what's your army? I've got 40 people with chainswords. One guy's got a really big chainsword. And I've got some tanks with flamers on them. Okay, what's your range? 12 inches. What's your anti-tank? Chainswords. And they're like, well, how are you going to do this? How are you going to do that? I don't do actions. And they're like, yeah, but how are you going to do engage your fronts? Once I've fought my way there, that's how I do it, you know? And they're like, well, what's your game plan?
Win shit.
Yeah, chop shit up, you know? And it was great. And what was even better, right? What was even better, right, is that all my opponents said that was the best game they played at the tournament. Because they were like, my opponent just flew at me. I just had to deal with it. They're like, I won the game. I'm happy I won the game. But I had so much great time because I played the game like how... That's the reason why I got into the game.
So much great time.
Fight stuff.
Which one's... Is it that one? Is that Age of Sigmar?
Age of Sigmar, yes. What are you doing? Are you projecting yourself?
The article's now up, Joe.
We've not done all the super chats.
No, fuck them.
But we have to.
They haven't super chatted enough anyway, so don't worry about it.
I mean, some of them have.
Yeah, I'm joking. We'll get through them.
Can I go for a wee-wee?
Yeah, you can go for a wee-wee.
You read the article.
I'm going to go through this article. I'm currently modifying the stream. Can you please mute yourself or take your mic off?
I'm taking my mic off.
Okay, good. Right. So I'm currently... You can't see what I'm doing, chat, but what I've just done is I've just made this. Boop, there we go. Okay. This is the brand new Age of Sigmar article that's just come out. It's finally popped up on my stream, 28th of March. Warhammer Age of Sigmar, what are modular rules and what do they mean for you? The new edition of Warhammer Age of Sigmar has been revealed with a totally fresh look to the core rules, featuring refinements and tweaks that make the world's greatest fantasy miniatures game even better. We've mentioned modular rules as one of these new changes. What exactly does this mean? Put simply, the game is divided into core rules and advanced rules. Oh, this sounds... I've wanted this for 40k for ages. The core rules are quick to learn and cover moving, fighting, shooting, unit coherency, and everything else you need to know to play a simple battle from start to finish with objectives and terrain. The advanced rules cover commands, terrain, magic, army composition, command models, and battle tactics. As any experienced player will tell you, these are all vital for in-depth tactical games of Warhammer Age of Sigmar, so what makes them modular? Core rule. Moving, fighting, shooting, unit coherency and objectives. Advanced rules, commands, terrain, magic, army composition, command rerolls, command models, battle tactics. Rules have been structured in a modular manner, says Ben, the product developer for the game. This means that you can learn and play games with the core rules, and then, when you need them, you can go on to learn the advanced rules. You can even just leave them out completely if you want, though some battle packs will require them. It's all part of making the game that existing players love more accessible to newer players. Modularity is born from the idea that Warhammer Age of Sigmar is much more than just a game, continues Matt, the man in charge of the rules. It's essentially a platform that supports many types of games. People play Age of Sigmar as a narrative experience, a competitive tournament game, at sizes ranging from huge mega battles with hundreds of miniatures to smaller format games like Spearhead and everything in between. It's quite interesting, Joe, so far.
Yeah?
Yeah, so they've said, right at the start, you have the core rules, which includes moving, fighting, shooting, unit coherency and objectives.
Banging.
Right? And that's how you learn the basics of the game. Then you add in advanced rules and you can add them in separate stages. Commands, terrain, magic, army composition, command models, battle tactics.
Tight.
Already sounds pretty good, right?
Yeah.
Okay. With modular rules, you only need to read the rules necessary to play the type of game you want. To play Spearhead, all you need is the core rules and no advanced rules. Everything else is covered in the Spearhead Battle Pack, the War Scroll cards, and the unique cards that Spearhead uses.
What Combat Patrol should be?
What Combat Patrol should be? Absolutely. Absolutely. So you've got, right, Spearhead, Path to Glory rules, Match Play rules, General's Handbook. So General's Handbook, look, takes all of the 6 editions plus the core, right? Path to Glory doesn't use this purple one here.
What's purple?
The purple one here was Battle Tactics. Path to Glory doesn't use Battle Tactics. Battle Tactics because
Battle Tactics is scoring.
It's secondary objectives.
Yeah.
Well, this sounds good, doesn't it? And then General's Handbook has seasonal rules as well, look, for seasons. This system means that everything outside the core rules is designed to be plug and play, which has serious implications for the future of the game. Those familiar with the General's Handbook will know that each season has focused on a unique spin, from the predators and prey of Gur, which centered monsters and those hunting men, to the devastating primal magic tunneled in Andorian locuses in the current season. The new modular structure provides a clean and clear way of implementing such things in future. The current General's Handbook is set in Andor and focused on magic. It's one of my favourite seasons, but in practice it ends up being a little bit awkward for newer players because the rules are split between primal magic rules at the beginning of the book and the standard magic rules they interact with in the deep core rules at the back of the book, explains Matt. So, how will modularity impact this? In the future, we could simply replace the magic module entirely with a magic of Andor module, as an example. This could seamlessly integrate thematic modifications to the magic rules for the battle pack without resorting to extensive core rules errata or layers of extra rules on top. This is sounding good. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
I'm trying not to get too excited, but it's sounding good. There are also other benefits, as Matt explained. Say, for example, we find out during the course of a season of match play that the economy of command points isn't quite right for competitive play. We don't need to issue an errata online. Instead, we could just have a General's Handbook with a new command module that is both thematically resonant and helps evolve the internal balance. If you want to bring that advanced rule module back in the future, we can. The potential for this system is huge, and it helps clearly delineate certain aspects of the rules for both beginners and experienced players, creating clear steps to follow when teaching the game. The team has plenty of ideas on how this might shake things up in the future, and you'll see from the start of the new edition how it works in practice. Tomorrow, we'll be back with a look at the most exciting and unique aspects of Warhammer Age of Sigmar, the tactical twist known as the priority role. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you, main. Boop. That all sounds pretty positive on the whole.
As someone who's been playing 40k for a long time, that sounds great. What I'd like to see is those rule sections. What have you done?
I've got rid of this. Hang on. I've got rid of chat. They're here somewhere.
They're here somewhere. What have you done? Have you deleted them? Does chat not exist anymore?
Oh, where's it gone?
Is that one? It looks like that one.
I need that one, and then I need to move. Oh my God, it's gone. Keep talking, Joe. Keep talking.
So, what I'd like to see is those rules come on A4 or A5 cards.
Yeah.
Right? So when you're playing, you go, I'm going to play with my pink, blue, and purple cards tonight. Badoosh. And when a new General's Handbook comes out, I've got new red, blue, yellow, pink cards. We're going to use these ones, and we'll swap them in and out. And that is how we play.
Yeah, completely modular packs.
Yeah.
The one thing that concerns me, if I'm honest with you, about that is modularity. I think in terms of the actual content and what they've just said, it sounds brilliant. I'll be honest with you, it sounds fucking incredible. And it sounds amazing.
And it fixes the FAQ problem for a new player going into Games Workshop.
But the concern I have, I got your back, chat. Don't worry. The concern I have of all of that, if I'm honest with you, is what I want them to do now. So we looked at the General's Handbooks on Tuesday when Mr. Hipster was here, right? And the General's Handbook is just nicer than the normal books that we get because it's like ring bindery stuff. What I don't want to happen is I don't want them to release a full-size rule book now for Age of Sigmar with the rules in it.
Yeah.
So I'd like all the narrative and all the gumph that you get in a big rule book normally, but for Christ's sake, let's make the rule book modular.
What?
So if you keep your core rules.
Was it 6th edition or 7th edition? The rule book came in a box and it was 3 books.
Oh, I've got it next door.
Yeah. You had the narrative, the rules, and then you've got pictures of models, I think, and artwork. So by splitting it into 3, it means you don't have to carry a massive book everywhere. You can leave 2 books at home and just bring the 3rd one with you. And then you're just happy. You've just got exactly what you need whenever you want it. But it also means that when they sell the rule book, you just have that one. Here we are. Yeah, this is what you got from the shop. It's the thickest boy. But
it's the thickest boy.
There are 3 books in there. And that's great. So this is currently the size of the current rule book.
Kind of, yeah.
Kind of the same thing. But when you go out of your house, you just have that. But by just having that, they used to print mini versions of this in A5, in paper, and it was brilliant. It was the exact same book, just smaller.
What I'd like to see for Age of Sigmar is I'd like to see a big, thick core rule book, full of narrative and artwork and all that kind of stuff, right? Yeah. And the core rules.
That comes in the starter box set.
Just the core rules, right? And then attached to that is in separate little bits is each of those modules. So 6 little modules, right? So here's my core rules. I'm using all 6 modules today. I've got the 6 modules. So if they go, we're replacing module 3 because we fucked it up, whatever module 3 is, you can go, cool. They send you module 3 or you buy module 3, you just go, swap. Good.
Do you know what they could do?
What's that?
Put them in White Dwarf.
You're talking crazy.
Should go back. Do you know what they should do, right, is they should release the little folders to come in the new army boxes. Whoever designed those, fucking genius.
Right. Anyway, that's the new Age of Sigmar article, hot off the press. Literally, as soon as it popped up, we've looked at it. Right. That for me sounds good. Yeah. Spearhead, literally what the stream's about. Pure fluke, by the way. Definitely not insider knowledge. Literally what the stream's about. Spearhead starting to sound pretty promising. Just core rules. I like it. Genuinely, I like it. We'll see. Back into there, Joe, because there's loads to go and we're now running behind.
Yeah. Thank you, Resident Rum Drinker. In your chats with Games Workshop, did you find out what the ever-loving PH... What the fuck the order was the data sheets are in, or why they are in the way they are in the codexes?
No, I've never asked that question. You know what you're talking about. Because you're very upset that they're not alphabetical by unit.
Why aren't they alphabetical?
I think what they did is just chucked them into a system and went like that.
In AOS, on the app, it's characters and then
battle line.
And then units.
Yeah.
Right? Or, characters, battle line, monsters, other. Right? I don't have that being an issue with that being in the book. Just put them in alphabetical and have the side of the pages coloured so you know when you flick through, you know where you're going.
Yeah. They've never told me that. I don't ask the question. It's just ridiculous. Carry on. Thank you, though, for the donation. You legend.
Obviously, Zodiac became a Thane.
Oh, my God.
Meat Squadron.
Great name.
I love the Dad and Daddy show. Who is the dad and who's the daddy? I feel like I'm the daddy.
Dad feels like the responsible one, so that's probably going to have to be me.
The boring one.
Yeah.
That shouts in the car.
Mm-hmm. Tells you off when you're being naughty.
Yeah.
Drinking too much Monster.
I haven't had one today. I had a toffee latte in the car, though. McDonald's toffee latte. Great.
With your heating on your windows down.
Yeah. So my car basically just shoots carbon monoxide into itself now. So if I want the heating on, I have to have the window down, otherwise I'll die. Thank you, Adderton, for becoming a Jarl. Also, McDonald's hot cross bun latte.
I don't care about McDonald's lattes,
That
Joe.
was a miss.
Super chats.
Thank you, Evan Dominello. Is there an overall book intro to the AOS lore? The rule book is probably the best way to go because it's got all the lore in it.
Actually, something that I'm interested in myself.
Yeah,
I don't know the answer to that. If you know an answer, people.
I've kind of skipped it all by just hearing second-hand information from other people, and then like I personally really like the horror books for. What?
I miss Joe's Clark Kent. That's what they've called Mr. the Hipster.
Really?
He's Joe's Clark Kent because he's you with glasses on. It's amazing.
That's great. I really like the Warhammer horror series. So I've listened to enough AOS horror books now that I kind of have an idea what's going on. But I like the high fantasy scariness of I like the dark, the grim dark, as it were, of AOS.
Yeah, man.
The happy stuff.
That's why, like I said to you before, I read the Bone Reapers narrative and was like, this is fucking cool.
Yeah.
Because it's pretty grim. Anyway, carry on.
I should seriously not be driving. But I need my car to go places. I'm not dead yet, so that's fine. Right, thank you, Dave B. It's like a dagger to the heart, this Joe on Old World. I nearly quit all Games Workshop because of 10th. Old World, I stayed to just hobby, and that was 30 years plus loyalty.
Yeah.
It was a bit of a stab, wasn't it? Like,
I feel like Old World, I feel like, for me personally at least, is there... I genuinely mean this as well, right? Considering the criticisms we have about other things they've done, and we have the criticisms about heresy units in 40k, the criticisms around 10th edition. For me personally, Old World is their biggest fuck up. Genuinely.
that was a bang and a fizz, wasn't it?
It was, I was so, I don't think, I know. I spoke to a number of people that have had the same experience as me, and I'm aware that some people are having a different experience, and I'm not saying that everyone feels the same. However, I have had a number of conversations about Old World. A lot of people wildly excited about it, already turned off on board now, and like, I'm not even thinking about it anymore, because it's so hard to get hold of, it's so hard to get into. And unless you really, really, really want to go down the route of monumental amounts of 3D printed miniatures from other companies, which personally I don't want to do.
It's like a game company releasing a game and then go and locking the levels. You can't go to the next level until 3 months' time. But why?
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Oh, you like High Elves? I've not even told you when they're coming yet.
Yeah.
Good. We've told you they're coming, not when. Yeah. And when they do come out, you are going to get 25-year-old sculpts. Fuck you. Yeah.
That is odd. With the Orc release, specifically, instead of releasing the newer versions of sculpts that came out at the end, that were available in 8th, they went, 6th, 7th, 8th doesn't exist. We'll give you the ones from like 4th edition fantasy that look like a potato with arms.
Quite frankly, Old World, as a release, Old World is embarrassing for GW, in my opinion. What they've done, here's what I think, what they've done is this is what it looks like they've done. This isn't necessarily what they've actually done, but this is what it definitely looks like they've done, and this is why I think it's so bad, is it looks like they've gone, how dare other people be making money off of our old rule set? We want that money.
Yeah.
But we actually give a fuck about anything.
We're going to give you worse models than they sell. The Song of Fire and Ice range, stunning, pre-built models, right?
I want some chocolate digestives now.
White chocolate digest, yeah. The Song of Fire and Ice stuff, yes, it's pre-built models, lower quality plastic, it's a bit bendy, right? But the models are beautiful. And guess what? You get all the rules, right? All the rules for all the factions, and all the factions were available. But some of the factions weren't available. Guess what? Didn't give you the rules for them. Kind of thing. And it's just, I just found it a bit mental.
I still want to play Old World, and I want to bring it to the channel in the future. Genuinely, really want to. And I want to play High Elves, and I want to play Wood Elves again. I really want to bring it to the channel in the future. And we will. Genuinely, I promise you, at some point we'll bring it to the channel in the future. But in terms of my excitement, they've basically killed it for me.
Yeah.
So now, the only reason why I want to play Old World is because of nostalgia, rather than because I'm super excited for it.
Yeah.
And that's on GW. So, you know.
Right. Oh. I pressed a button. It's okay now. Thank John Dave B. Thank you, William Wills. Games Workshop. We have listened to you. We have listened. Horus Heresy models are now playable in Old World. I mean, it would surprise me if they just tried to fill stuff.
Yeah.
Just sort it out. Games Workshop obviously has got a flagship line, which is 40k. Then you've got Age of Sigmar, and I think Age of Sigmar is a better product because they can't afford a flop. At the end of the day, they can't afford to do something bad because it's not the bigger range, but they want it to be just as big.
Yeah.
And then they've kind of gone, Horus Heresy, it's not as big of a fan base, we'll just put stuff out because it's not making us vast amount of money. And then they've gone, Age of Sigmar, or not Age of Sigmar, Warhammer Fantasy, we're only doing it as an FU to Warlord and Mantic.
Essentially.
Yeah.
Essentially, it's what it seems like. Like Warhammer Fantasy, we don't really care about you, but we'd rather you were buying our rule books than someone else's. That's how it's come across. And I'm sure it's probably not their intent. That's absolutely how it's come across.
Yeah. Thank you, Tox Trio. One thing I also love about AOS is the path to glory is in every book has some great missions that can be used as standalone narrative missions, which I think 40k is missing greatly.
That sounds
They
exciting.
did do that in 7th edition where they gave you an army mission to play.
Yep.
I thought was great. I think stuff like that needs
That
to come
doesn't
back.
fit in to meta chasing competitive people, so we don't do it anymore.
Yeah. It's silly.
We just go, we do narrative. We do narrative. It's called Crusade.
Yeah. It's admin heavy, really bloated, wordy,
Yeah.
and it requires you to have to buy more models all the time.
Yeah.
That's the weird thing, though, I found about Path to Glory and Crusade is that it does require you to be constantly purchasing.
Which is fine as long as you're having fun along the way.
Yeah.
But, you know.
Thank you, Bane Roland says, will Skaven keep its plague theme?
I think so, yes.
Just
by looking at the trailer.
Plague monks are a massive part of that.
But just look at the trailer.
Well, they're rats as well, aren't they?
But look at the trailer.
Yeah.
Like it's all about the green, glowy plaguiness. I absolutely think they will.
Yeah. Thank you, Fat Boy, for one gifted membership. Thank you, Lehman Russ. Have you seen the Heresy Command Squad dropped on WarCom? We did.
Yeah.
It looks lovely.
It made Joe feel things.
I love a banner, and they've got shields. I need to find a way of getting that into one of my armies. Don't worry, I will. Thank you, Nordos44. If you get to play one game of 40k in a 1 to 2 month, and you have 7 armies, it won't get stale.
I like the way you're thinking.
Yeah,
I like the way you're
but
thinking.
what if you have a bad game?
Doesn't make it stale.
I don't make it stale. One of the things that kind of bugs me about 40k that some people have come to me about, there's like, I get to play once every 2 weeks. I go to the local club and I play against a stranger and I get ruined put models down, end of turn 2, my army's gone. And it's like, I drove an hour to get here. I gave up my evening. I drive an hour home. I've been driving for longer than I was in the club, and don't really want to go next week.
Yep. Can you believe that?
Yeah. And I can't. Yeah, it's a weird one. Obviously, it's on their opponent. It's a lack of communication between the two. But you shouldn't have to go through a large amount of prep in advance just to have a fun game.
Honestly, I've seen people have a similar experience at GTs.
Yeah.
I've seen people drive a long way, a good 3 hours for a GT,
Yeah.
and pulled a terrible opponent turn 1. Now there is a little bit of it's a GT, a person's going to win, but you play that guy turn 1, game 1 after travelling for 2 hours, and you go, I don't want to. I came for a fun weekend, and you've already soured that.
Yeah, I have found that the competitive 40k scene is much like playing Call of Duty Warzone.
Shit.
Not all the time, but
Full of cunts.
is that every game you play
Is against someone with no personality who's super try-hard.
Yeah.
Basically.
It's like everyone plays every game as if they're in the final of a grand tournament.
No, I'd take it a step further, Joe.
Yeah.
Everybody that seems to play a game, like there's 10 grand riding on it.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like. like you've said it yourself, right? You've been at events where you've played a person who's been fucking 1-4 or whatever.
I've got to round 5. I've only won one game. I've lost 3. So my opponent's in the same boat, and they pull out a chess cock. Yeah. And I'm like, this game literally means nothing in the grand scheme.
And they play like they're going to earn 10 grand.
Yeah.
Like you might get to 29th out of 30.
Yeah. It has no real reflection on your ITC points scoring at this point. Just chill out.
But we've got many more to go, Joe, because we're nearly 2 hours in now.
Hackers and aimbot. We're nearly there. Thank you, Evan Tominello. Joe's my hero today.
Joe's my hero every day.
Yeah, all people are from Pakistan.
Joe is one of my favourite human beings in the world.
Yeah.
I texted you that this morning.
He did. And then he sent me a picture of his bumhole.
Those things often go hand in hand.
With a hat on.
Smoking a cigar.
Yeah.
Wasn't a cigar, Joe.
Yeah.
Is that everything?
That's everything. Yeah, I think... as an overarching, I do think Spearhead will do a lot better than Combat Patrol because... because the models are beautiful, but also the state of play for 40k.
So I think, honestly, just even looking at today's article, one of the reasons why I want to go through it quickly, because looking at today's article and talking about modularity instantly makes accessibility better for most people if they do the modularity well. So, looking at that article, Spearhead says it only focuses on the core rules. Now, by logic and by reading what they've just said, what you could do is you can go, right, Joe and I are playing Spearhead, right? You've got your Spearhead of Flesh Eater Courts, I've got my Spearhead of Nighthaunt, right? We're playing Spearhead, we are just playing core rules because that's the modularity it tells us to use, okay?
Yeah.
We're both happy now with the core rules, right? Yeah. There's 6 other modules, okay? Command phase, magic, command heroes, secondaries, and a couple of others. I can't remember what they are. But we can go, all right, we're ready to add in the magic modularity. Yeah. Just that one, though. We've now learnt that. We've now got core +1. Yeah. We've already learned the next one. We've now got core +2. We've already learned the next one, right? Even without, because at the moment, even taking Combat Patrol, right? Combat Patrol play a small version of the big game and then play a big game. There's no real stepping stones. Yeah, this sounds like, although they may not structure it this way, this sounds like there actually could be stepping stones from core rule set only all the way up to core rule set +6.
Well, the thing is, though, it's with how this modularity seems to work is that when you learn to play Spearhead, you're learning to play the game with your units how they are in the book. Combat Patrol, learn to play a version of the game that's not the full version of the game, but with all the rules and the units that you're using aren't the same as the ones you'll be using in the full rules. Exactly the point. Yeah. 100%. So
play the game using the models as you're supposed to use them in a rule set of how it's supposed to be done, but just a bit smaller.
Yeah.
Right? And by taking out the complex stuff, it speeds the game up as well. So you can, like games have said, they play it in their lunch break. They can do, because there's no magic phase.
Yeah.
It takes out a complex level of rules interaction.
I would imagine, chat, genuinely speaking now, being open and honest, I'd imagine around the launch of Age of Sigmar 4th edition, you're going to see a lot of content coming out from this studio about the launch of... Because the other thing as well is, from my personal perspective, do you know what that does? Do you know what giving me core rules and 6 modules gives me? 7 videos. We can make 7 videos to help people learn the game.
What we can do, right, what we can do is we can film a 40-minute battle report of Combat Patrol. Not Combat Patrol, Spearhead.
Maybe.
We go, here is your lunch break taken care of. Don't play the game, watch us play the game. And touch your nips.
There's a couple of people in chat already who said that they're definitely Age of Sigmar curious. My goal by 4th edition OS is to try and make as many people as possible Age of Sigmar curious. Again, I will reiterate, it will not at the moment have any likelihood of replacing our 40k content, because that is our bread and butter, that is our core audience, it's our core content. We will always produce 40k content. And there's the other adage as well, the other add to that, Joe and I actually really like 40k, and we have lots of fun playing it. So as long as him and I are going to continue enjoying the game, we're going to continue playing it on stream anyway. That being said, I am very AOS curious for the new version. I'd like to try and get more people curious. And I think that the exciting thing for us as a Great Hall community in general is we could all actually experience this new venture, this new journey, and this new foray into a new rule set with each other. I think that's quite exciting.
Yeah.
Quite exciting in general.
We've got one more super chat come through, Joe.
Yeah, thank you, Kazarian. Running Virkos Curse City Heroes with 3 times 20-man zombie squads in May, but already feel conscious I'm gonna have massive turns and give shit experiences.
Just buy him a beer then.
Yeah,
Give
just
him a
be
reach
like,
round.
here's a pint, here's lube.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird that the zombie, the thing about zombies in that army is one of the characters from Curse City basically gives all your zombies a 5-up ward, right? And then obviously you can increase their armor save. So it slows the game down because you're like, well, my zombies have now got a 5+ save and you're -1, so 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, and I've got a ward save of 5+, blah, blah, blah. And then my zombies grow back all the time. And then you take a corpse cart, which gives them all mortal wounds in combat. And when they die, they do mortal wounds. And then they grow back all the time. So it does work. And bring cake, bring beer for your opponent, right? And just be like, this is the army I bought. We're here to have fun. I'm going to amble zombies at you. Don't get upset with me.
Stop super chatting, chat. All right? We're trying to go. I don't mind because I'm not on stream tonight, but Joe's got another stream to do.
Thank you, Plague of Shadows. Definitely pulled what's left of my unpainted lizard men to get ready for 4th edition.
Yeah.
Yes.
I've just been out there today digging out all the leftover Stormcast and Nighthaunt stuff that I hadn't yet built.
Do you know what I like about the new edition of AOS that's good over the field bads that we had in 10th edition? We know nothing's going to get legendsed. Or
you don't know that.
Get taken away.
You don't know that. What do we say right at the start? Stormcaster's range is too big, probably needs thinning.
Yeah.
They might thin it. So you don't know that at all, Joe.
Just buy Spearhead boxes.
Anyway, you guys have been incredible tonight. Thank you, Plague of Shadows, for that 5 right at the end. You're heroes. You're all amazing people. Big 83 new members for a Liam and Joe show.
Biggs.
You're amazing people. Thank you so much.
You are all heroes, one and all.
I'm conscious to know what you guys think. Combat Patrol versus Spearhead. Your experience of Combat Patrol. What you're hoping for with Spearhead, with you, blah blah, etc. Let us also know what you think about the modular rules. So stick them in the comment section below when the video finishes. But thank you so much for joining us today. I think it's interesting.
So here's an idea. Solanis Bird says, I bought the Seraphon army. I want to play OS, but my friend group doesn't play it
Yet.
Right. It's an investment for you. Right. The best way to get any group of people into a game is by having 2 armies painted, right? And the great thing about the new Spearhead is that it is core rules, right? And obviously you get 2 box sets, preferably both armies that you're interested in, right? And then go to your mate, be like, do you want to play with these models that I have built and painted tonight? And we'll have a game with the core rules. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. And if you've got 5 friends, one of them would be like, I actually quite enjoyed that. I'll buy myself one of those boxes because it's not expensive. And then, like a drug dealer, you've given them the free sample and then they're hooked.
There's more stuff coming through.
Thank you, Sir Galahad Grail Hunter.
You missed the super chat. Thank you for the gift.
Thank you, Adrian. Did they not say the Spearhead will have different war scrolls?
I hope not. I don't know if they did or didn't.
From that article, it just says that the box set is just the core rules, which means you don't have to change unit rules.
I don't know. Honest answer, I don't know if they've said that or not. I'm nervous.
I think that they're smart enough that they would. I think they would have looked at Combat Patrol and learnt them.
Grumpy Grognard Gaming, by the way, which is a great name. Combat Patrols are almost universally getting worse. If you want a Vanguard Spearhead, grab it now. I mean, I think for value, they are getting slightly worse, but you know. Hey. Anyway, thank you so much for the membership. That puts us up to 84 members for the stream. You're amazing. You people are incredible. I'm glad so many people are so curious and interested in Age of Sigmar, at least. And we're going to follow along on the journey of Age of Sigmar on the channel in general, alongside the 40k content. So expect us to be covering the articles that Games Workshop are releasing. Expect us to be covering the new edition. I would like, if Spearhead is what I'm hoping Spearhead's going to be, we could then do what I was hoping to do with 40k Combat Patrol on the channel in the future, and we can do small Spearhead games for lunchtime base consumption, right? So we definitely can do that in the future. I'm hoping we're able to do that in the future. We'll wait and see. I think it is their second chance at getting accessibility right, and it sounds better already so far.
Yeah.
What are you giggling at?
5 friends means 5 guys.
Love you, wee man. Tonight at 7:30, if you join us again in what is now just under 4 hours, we are yet again live. This time, it's Brom with the Orcs taking on Joe with the Leagues of Jotan. That's coming tonight because you basically voted for it, right?
You forced me into it.
That'll be 7:30 tonight. Kyle will be producing. I'll be around for the first hour, then I'm going to go home because it's Brom playing. So, you know. Tomorrow evening at 8:30, we've got 40k After Dark. We'll return with some more of the finest Vikings Blood mead to talk about nonsense and shit and all kinds of other stuff. Weekend off before we're back again on Monday with a hobby stream. Yay! Thank you so much for watching, you wonderful people. We'll see you in the next one.
Bye, have a wonderful time.